RockandManuch.com. The guys are powered by the law offices of Lerner and Rowe. In a wreck and need a check? Make one call, that's all. 602-977-1900. And now on your ESPN station in Phoenix, ESPN 620, Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B.
All right, you made it to Friday here on Roc and Manuch. No Jimmy B today. We got Jax. We got Connor back at the iHeartRadio studios. And, of course, it's a Friday. It means we're at Wright Toyota, right across the street from the 16th hole at WM Open, which is getting ready here in about a week or so. We're going to be giving away some tickets on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for next 2 weeks. So you'll want to stick around for that. Today's a free food Friday. We do that every week, so we'll be giving away some stuff there. But a lot to get into. I would say the best part of the show will be at 2 o'clock.
Yes, sounds like it, Rock.
The voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese, will join us. Yes, I'm biased. Yes, I grew up listening to him. Yes, we bring him on quite a bit, and it's a treat. You know, it's one of those things where you grow up, no matter where you're from, and if you could bring on the play-by-play guy, if you do what we do, it's a treat because you were a fan growing up listening to him. And then now you get to talk to him and ask him why, Sirianni's been snubbed for the coach of the year. So we could get into some things like that with him, which is really super cool. So looking forward to that. I've been listening to a lot of the guys in the radio stations in Philly getting ready for Sunday. And, on paper, they should destroy the Washington Commanders.
You would think, right?
Number one defense, the best offensive line, best running back in the game. You could go on and on from A to Z. They clearly, on paper, should win and should win convincingly. However, that's why they play the games. I am pretty confident. Normally, I'm not. I mean, this is an NFC championship game, and it's, the spread 6, right? I mean, the other game, that's a whole different story, and we beat that up yesterday. It's funny how, Buffalo Bills were an underdog earlier in the week. Now they're favorite. So the lines have changed. And you'll hear from Andy Reid here in about 5 minutes talking about that, being now an underdog in this game. But really cool stuff to get into today. Our It's Your Call question today, which is brought to you by State 48 Roofing. Who do you feel will be in this year's Super Bowl? Will it be Chiefs, Eagles, Chiefs, Commanders, Bills, Eagles, Bills, Commanders? Of course, there's only 4 choices, so check that out as we're in the Final Four. But the big story today, Pete Carroll is back. He is now the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, and he's not going to quit his part-time job either. He's going to keep his part-time job as a professor teaching a class at USC. So he's going to keep doing that as the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders.
How is he going to do that, Rod? I think that's the one thing I'd say. How is he going to online Zoom call? Is it going to be bright and early in the morning? Because Pete's at the facility by 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 or 6. So he's going to take his lunch break at, noon and do it. Does he do it maybe once a week, unless it's a night class to something to that effect? Maybe it's a night class he does once a week. 7 o'clock on Thursday nights.
I don't know the name of the class. I think he teamed up with some guy who is the dean of the religious and spiritual life at USC. So there's no details on how that's going to work. But with Zoom, what's going to stop him from, checking in twice a week for an hour?
True.
Half hour, 20 minutes, whatever it may be.
Keep that side hustle just in case. But I feel this is a good hire for the Raiders. I really do. They got the brand new general manager. They got a guy in Pete Carroll. He knows how to get it done. He works well with the general managers. Did well in Seattle, 14 years there. They go to 2 Super Bowls. They went to the playoffs, 7 times. So I think this is a good hire in reference to a guy that can help you build a team. He believes in building with the defense, the running game, and then the passing game to have the right kind of guys there, but not throw it all over the yard. The challenge for Pete Carroll, though, is this may take a couple, 2-3 years. And for Mark Davis as the owner and this new general manager, it's to go ahead and be patient and allow Pete to help you build this team. So I think a guy who's going to be 73. Well, Pete's like 73 going on 50.
Yeah.
The kind of energy he has.
Love it.
He's enthusiastic. He loves the game. I think that's the kind of energy that building's going to need, is a guy that can come in there. He's enthusiastic. He's an encourager, always exhorting his guys all the time. And they're going to need that because, hopefully not this year, but the following second, third year, he can get this team back to the playoffs. The key will be get the key quarterback, get your offensive lineman, and build your defense with a good running game. Hopefully gets them back there. For you Raider fans, maybe within the next 3 years, you get back to playoffs.
I don't know about that. Why so long? Why would you say 3 years?
Well, he could. I'm saying within the next 3 years.
The guy's only been out of coaching for a year.
Yeah, but I think that this first year coming up, be very difficult for them with the playoffs. Year 2, if he gets the right draft choices and the right free agents, and I don't know where their cap number is right now, as far as building key pieces, receiver-wise, offensive line-wise, defensive-wise, what they can go after and what they can get along with the draft. So I understand if you're going to go get that, that top draft choice quarterback, this team doesn't have a lot of the pieces that they're going to need to protect a rookie quarterback. Unlike what you saw with Jaden Daniels, with what he is, he's got pieces around him. Then you look at Caleb Williams, the number 1 pick. He didn't have anything around him. Look at the long year
quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pete Carroll, have fun going up against Andy Reid twice a year.
Sure.
John Harbaugh twice a year, or Jim Harbaugh.
Mm-hmm. Jim Harbaugh.
And Sean Payton twice a year.
Yeah, so
I don't see him going to the playoffs in 3 years. I think it's going to be longer than that.
Well, and here's the thing. Whatever it is, it's that Mark Davis has got to be patient and allow Pete Carroll to interject and help build this team. I mean, you look at what Jim Harbaugh did his first year. He had the quarterback with Justin Herbert, so he was able to get them back to the playoffs because of his quarterback, because of some of the free agent moves, some of the draft choices. But he had a pretty decent core nucleus. He just didn't have any receivers. So that was the thing for this Chargers team. They didn't have quite receiving core that they needed in order to get them over the hump. And then in that playoff game against Houston, you can't throw 4 interceptions and expect to move on at all. So, you look at this. I think they got the right guy to help rebuild this program. I think patience, utmost patience, is going to have to be so much the mantra for Mark Davis, the owner for this Raiders team.
I'm disagreeing with you guys because I see what happened this year with the Washington Commanders. Quinn goes in there for his first year. You draft a quarterback, you put him in there, and you have some success.
Okay.
But it's the AFC, though. It's not the NFC. NFC
I get it, but still, we don't know who he's going to draft. I think they have 8 picks, and they're all high picks, the Raiders do. So I just think 3 years is a stretch. I just think these days, if the Commanders could do it with a rookie quarterback, why couldn't whoever the guy is, because no one would have expected.
But Rock, you got to remember
Daniels to lead this team to the NFC Championship.
You got to remember he came in, and I will give him a lot of credit for rookie, but they've got pieces around. They got they had defensive pieces already there, offensive line, solid running back, good group of receivers. They didn't have a bunch of young guys coming in like Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams, yeah, he's the top pick of the draft. He couldn't get a turnaround because there's no supporting cast around him. You look at Jaden Daniels, look at the supporting cast around him on the offensive side and the defensive side.
I just don't think you could have a blanket statement like that. The Commanders had 4 wins last year.
Okay.
And all they did is bring in a new coach, and they drafted a quarterback. Why can't he do the same thing?
But
they were horrible last year.
They made some free agent moves.
But who's to say that? Why can't Vegas do that?
They could.
If you're a Vegas fan right now, why wouldn't you would be like, yeah, he's got all this money. He can go out there free agency. People are going to want to play for Pete Carroll because he's such a player's coach. I wouldn't be surprised. And now with the Tom Brady factor, watch out.
Well, that's what I said.
I hate the Raiders, but Pete Carroll is probably the worst thing for them to get for a guy who can't stand the Raiders.
And that's
going to turn that program around fast.
That's what I said at the beginning. I don't know where their cap space is to go get the free agents. And as far as their draft choices, yeah, if they got 8 picks, they got some top picks. You got to build with the draft. If you're going to get some solid free agents,
they have they are projected to have $112 million.
Okay. Then they've got some cash.
The only team ahead of them is the Patriots.
Well, they could go out to yeah, but
can you maybe back up and moonwalk a little bit?
No,
all right, Rock. Now that you bring that up, you're right. Maybe it's not 3 years. Maybe it's a year.
Well, no, but I'm just saying it's just not going to happen overnight. Now, would Raider fans love to see
the Commanders?
Okay, would Raider fans love to see it happen overnight? I highly unlikely that
you think there's one Commander fan out there that thought they'd be playing in the NFC Championship.
No,
right now?
not at all. But I mean, those are few and far between when you see something like that. If you got $112 million, go spend it. Go get your top-notch receivers. Go get your top-notch linemen. Go get top-notch defensive guys. That's what I'm trying to say. Pete Carroll can build this. Now, will he be able to build it overnight? Probably not.
think the Broncos were going to turn around as fast as they did with their first-year coach, Peyton?
Well, you got to
Come on, there's so many scenarios that you can make.
I
case
agree,
that
Rock.
1 year,
30.
a new coach comes in with a quarterback that
Okay.
they draft, which they did with Bo Nix, and they turn that around.
What I said is I'd like to see him rebuild it within 3 years.
All
They
you
get it
said
done within-
was they will not make the playoffs for
I don't
take
think
3 years.
I don't see. No, I said if they could get to the playoffs within the first 3 years, that would be a bonus. And what I also said was you got to have Mark Davis patient enough to let Pete Carroll build this thing over the next 3 years before they get there. And to
Raider
Jackson's
fans, I got
point-
your back. I think you guys are
Oh,
going to
hey,
the playoffs sooner than 3 years.
I like the Raiders. I'm a Pete Carroll fan. I would love to see him get this thing turned around, but it's going to be very difficult with the kind of players they have, players to keep, players they can extend, and players they can bring in free agency with the draft. If they get this thing turned around a year to 2 years, that would be huge because they've been playing awful the last.
So
2
now
years.
you're saying it couldn't happen
Within the first couple of years?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to see it happen. Sure.
Well, you just made a case that they weren't going to do
My
that.
case was if they can do X, Y, Z, check the boxes, they've got a good chance.
You made
right
a
now,
blanket statement that this team will not make the playoffs in 3 years.
No, I didn't say they will not. I said if they have a chance to make it within the first 3 years, that's what you're looking for. And I also said follow up with if Mark Davis.
We'll get the tape.
No, if Mark Davis can be patient with him in the first 3 years to allow him to build this
We're
thing up.
playing Scrabble right now from what you said. I'm sorry.
We Scrabble.
Yeah.
I mean, Jackson,
Yeah.
did you hear something different than I was just explaining?
I mean, I thought you were interpreting they weren't going to make it in 3 years.
Yes.
And I was also
That's
saying
how I
they were
interpreted
not
it.
going to make it in 3 years plus. I don't think they're going to make it for 4 or 5 years.
Okay, so you
Playoffs.
both are on the different page than I am.
I said if they.
So you're now moonwalking.
No, I'm saying I think if they can make it within
because
the
I
first,
gave you some
No,
really
yeah,
good
Manuch
facts.
is 100% going back and forth.
No,
He
no.
made some good points. I still think 3 to 5 years.
Okay, there's still right or wrong answer, but I'm just making a case with you and I, Manuch.
My gist was if they can make it within the first 3 years, I don't see it the first year, I don't see it the second year. Third year, I think that'll be their turnaround year if they go spend the money and get the right free agents and draft choices.
$112 million,
I broke
sixth pick
it down.
overall.
How much more am I going to break it
You
down for you?
didn't. You Scrabble.
No.
Do we
I'm
need Connor
down.
as a third?
Yeah, Connor, what'd you think of my
I know we need to go to
explanation?
break, but we're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it does sound like Manuch, you were starting to walk it back a bit. It felt like you were thinking that it was going to be 3 years at least before they see
Yeah.
it. Hey, guys, I'm a believer. I saw my DC flip over teams, and now they're playing for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So it can happen overnight. You just got to have the right guys to do so.
So now we're split. Now we're 2 for 2, but we're 3v1 on Manuch, saying that Manuch was moonwalk.
I don't think so.
Manuch,
I
just
think
take
so.
this. We gotta go to break, but just realize, look in the mirror. How old are you?
I'll be 68 in September.
Okay, so come on. Some
I
guy
just
walked
think
in
you
here
guys-
right to you, and he said something. He kind of just went back and forth.
I
You're
think
like,
you
oh,
know-
he's getting old. He
I-
doesn't know what he's
I
saying.
think you guys just misinterpreted what I was really
No.
going.
It's just no.
I think I threw too much
Moonwalking.
information at you guys. You just couldn't digest what I was saying.
No, I gave you facts on why your statement, your blanket statement, was not valid.
Okay, one more thing. The reason, and what I also said is the reason why the Redskins could do it. They had pieces there. They
No,
spent
they
money.
did. They had 4 wins.
Yeah, but
They
they
sucked.
but they had
Every category, they were one of the worst.
they brought some free agents in.
But-
They brought some
okay,
guys
so
in.
what's going to stop Vegas from doing that?
Well, I would hope to see it, but I think it's still within 3
All
years.
right, you're going to hear from Andy Reid, ESPN's Ryan Clark, Cliff Kingsbury, and more. Some sounds of the night next on ESPN 620, 98.7 HC2 and streaming live on Arizona Sports.
620 and 98.7 HD2.
All right, out here at Wright Toyota, the Chiefs and Bills odds have moved a whole point since they opened on Sunday night. Of course, the AFC title game just a few days away, but the odds are already moving. So after opening as a 1 or a 1.5 point favorite at home at most books, now the Chiefs have moved to a 2-point favorite. This according to Caesar Sportsbook. So that's big as you go from, an underdog to a favorite. Here's Coach Andy Reid when asked about this.
The fact that we're at home is a real positive, I think. We've got to play well. I know whether we're favored or not favored. I don't know. I presume they'll probably be favored, but that's all right. We do our thing as we go into this, and we don't worry about all that noise. So it's a high level of football, and you got to handle it that way.
That question, it's why would a report talk about whether you're favored or not by the spread? Exactly what he said. They don't worry about that stuff. They're like, they're not concerned about.
Yes, they do.
Your players aren't concerned.
You're
Coaches
still
aren't
full of
concerned.
it. How then? Why did he say? How did he know that he's now the underdog?
You know what?
How did he know he's the underdog, Manuch, if he's not paying attention to
well,
that?
he's a 2-point favorite now. He's minus KC's -2 now. Yeah. So I mean, to that point,
But he knew that there's been a change in the spread.
Yeah, but his concern is okay. We don't
That's
worry
why
about
instead
that.
of being at home, of course he's going to say that. I think these guys know. They just don't want to, say it to the media.
The thing is, I think if guys go, we're at home, and he's just playing to the media versus, look, I don't care about that, and just move on. I mean, every time we played, I never knew what the spread was. We played Baltimore or the Jets, whatever.
You can't compare
that, Manuch.
But I mean, with the head coach,
it's mainstream. It's legal. It's completely different.
You go on your phone, you go on your television, you go on your tablet, whatever. You will see a spread.
Okay,
anywhere.
I get it, but coaches and players could care less. He was just being courteous to that reporter.
I think these
about
players.
that.
You don't think these coaches or these players don't gamble? Maybe not on football.
Well, not on football,
but they still gamble.
Yeah, but they're not paying attention to the spreads in their game.
Oh my gosh! You don't come on.
If they are, their focus should be on that.
That's fair.
Yeah,
okay, I'll agree with you there, but you can't say they're not paying attention to it.
If they're why would they be paying attention?
How can you not? It's everywhere you go.
Your focus is the game.
It's like all of a sudden these NFL players don't watch SportsCenter, don't watch anything on television, don't open their phone. They're just week to week. Everything's shut off in their life.
They should be. If they are, if they're trying to pay attention to spreads and hey, we're a 25-point underdog or any of that kind of stuff, then that is something that they should not be focused on or have any kind of a chip on their shoulder. That's the kind of thing that I look at. So if these guys are making a concern like, hey, what's this? We're a 10-point underdog. Well, the heck with that. I'm fired up. I would hope that's the last thing in their mind that they're checking out spreads.
Wow. Come on.
That they're the underdog by 10 points or 2 points.
All right, here's ESPN NFL analyst Ryan Clark today on ESPN talking about Josh Allen being focused on winning.
Josh Allen isn't talking about his legacy this week. Josh Allen is talking about this one game. And Josh Allen is going through the playoff losses and saying, okay, in this game, I played extremely well, but we didn't win. In this game, it came down to 2 throws and a field goal, but we didn't win. How have I been winning this year? How did I beat Kansas City this season? And it's by, okay, let's be patient. Let's be smart. Let's make the right plays. Okay, now they need me to go above and beyond. And yes, this changes Josh Allen's legacy. And yes, we'll speak of Josh Allen differently because that's what winning is supposed to do.
Yeah, and I think that at that point, the one thing about Josh Allen, he's played, I think, a lot smarter. The game early in the year was November 17th. They beat the Chiefs 31-21 in Buffalo. So, again, going on the road, beating the Chiefs, that's his last exercise the demons to finally beat the Chiefs, period, in a championship game.
Here's former Cardinals head coach Cliff Kingsbury talking about his quarterback, Jalen Daniels.
He uses the virtual reality stuff constantly, and I think that really has helped him just hang in that pocket and nail those reads and go through it like he does. But that's for a young guy to stand in there and do what he does and get to those reads has been as good as I've ever seen from a young player.
Says a lot from him. He's coached some great quarterbacks in his day, especially going back to Texas Tech and Patrick Holmes.
And to have that virtual reality and screen in front of you and be able to almost like drop back and actually see the defense versus looking at it on tape, that's a huge tool for a lot of these quarterbacks to have. I mean, I wish I'd have had that.
You don't use that out there at Cactus Park?
No, I don't have the virtual reality on there. I don't have the big goggles out there to read defense.
Here's Dan Campbell. Of course, the Lions have lost 2 coordinators. Here's what he had to say about that.
We've got guys on staff that I think are more than qualified and would be outstanding in those roles. But that does not mean that I'm not looking outside either. So I want what I believe is going to be as close to what we have been as possible. And we don't lose what we're about and our identity. And we're going to stay true to who we are. And if you're somebody that doesn't feel comfortable with that, this isn't the job for you.
Dan Campbell.
You know, and I think that the key there is hiring from within. Same voice, same philosophy, same offense. And I think a lot of guys go, well, we lost our coordinator, defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator. Bring in somebody new. Then that guy wants to bring in their own situation versus the current situation.
I want to do an audible before we catch up with Sean Salisbury, all right? Okay. You guys all right with audible?
Yeah, go ahead.
Something that's kind of passed me over. I didn't see it. Just came to fruition about a half hour, and I want to bring it up. Major League Baseball is going to be using the automatic ball strike system this year, and they're starting it in spring training. Diamondbacks are going to use it 29 times, more than anybody else. 60% of the games will feature the APS, the automatic ball strike system. The way it's going to work is basically they will, each team, I should say, will start the game with 2 challenges. It can issue to the umpire, who will then rely on the APS system to review the pitch. The average team in the Cactus League are going to have 21 games with this automated zone. So we're going to see it everywhere. We all know that baseball tends to do these things.
Right.
And they usually stick.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And these new rules they have that they've employed the last 2 years, man on second, extra innings, all that other stuff. Now, the automated, ball strike system, ABS, is going to get a big test this spring training. And if it goes well, I would guess that next year
they use it full time.
They'll use it full time.
So
when I say next year, I mean one more calendar year, not this April.
So if I understand, so there'll be the umpire. He'll call the game. So if a manager has a challenge for a questionable call that was too low or was too high, I'd say he can question it. Then the automatic strike will say whether it was a strike or not.
If Troy Lavella is upset that he thinks that ball was out, he can now use one of his challenges, and that could be a game changer.
Oh, absolutely, could be a game changer.
I mean, you walk a guy in or you strike a guy out.
Do you ever think, just real quick, do you ever think it'll be to the point where it's just 2 years from now? It's just the automatic, the zone will call balls and strikes. Umpire's only there for
looks,
or for guys coming down, or stuff like foul ball, foul.
I mean,
tip,
everything
whatever.
else is changing in the game. How long it takes to pitch, how long to be in the batter's box. I mean, they're changing everything with technology.
I can see the challenges, but at that point, just give yourself a challenge. Let's not have that automatic balls and strikes be forever. And the umpire just back there.
But if it's only 2 challenges, does that really bother you?
No, I think that's.
So that's why I think they'll probably crawl, walk, run with this system.
Yeah, or hey, point to the ref or the umpire to see if it was a ball or strike. I like the 2 challenges. Let these umpires just call the game and adjust to the game that they're calling.
It's crazy though.
Yeah,
I mean,
can we just leave baseball alone?
I forgot about. I remember them talking about it, but we haven't talked baseball for months. And we will get real heavy into it here in about 3 weeks. But still, I'm like, oh, that just came out of nowhere. Yeah. That came out of left field, no pun intended, as you would say, Manuch. Hey, coming up next, we'll go unfiltered, uncensored with former NFL quarterback Sean Salisbury. But first, here's Jax with your latest local 620 Sports Update.
Time for your uncensored and unfiltered view on football
all the
and even
time.
life. Former NFL and USC quarterback, the QB maximizer, Sean Salisbury.
29-year-old Sean Salisbury, his second start as a National Football League quarterback.
Now on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on ESPN 620.
Yeah, I always believe losing can be either a positive or a negative. And so obviously you lose a football game and that sucks and you don't have the undefeated season, but you learn from those mistakes. You learn where you can get better and you use that to make yourself a better.
About 10 seconds left in this clip. Going to make your mics hot.
Just learning from that game, going up against one of the best football teams in the NFL and losing, you find some of your weaknesses. You try to make those things better. And then I think the most positive, I didn't have to play Week 18. So that was probably the best for me.
That's Patrick Mahomes reflecting on the Chiefs' loss to the Bills earlier this year, as we talked about earlier in the show, about how underdog to favorite, how it flipped. It's pretty interesting, real interesting. Joining us now, Sean Salisbury, as you just heard a big voice guy. How we doing, Sean? What's going on?
I'm doing good, guys. How are you?
Good, man. I know you love your alma mater, USC. Pete Carroll to Vegas. Your thoughts on him being a Raider head coach now?
Yeah, and Raiders are my NFL team. So he gets, him and Harbaugh can't elude each other, man. They just, Stanford SC, Seattle, and San Francisco, and now the Raiders and Chargers. I like the hire. I do. A lot of times people, somebody in their 70s, Pete's got the energy, as we all know, of a guy who's 30 or 40. And it's funny or younger, when he left Seattle, when that had happened, I think people thought, oh, Pete's done coaching, wants to move to the front office. Pete was never done coaching. And they were both sides obviously ready to move on, and he's got some fixing to do. I applaud the Davis, Mark Davis and, Brady and whoever else involved in the decision of making this choice. I think it was important. And a guy with experience who's been in big games and big moments, who's built teams, not only at the college level, but at the NFL level, kind of rebuilt himself from when he was a head coach early on and didn't have the same success like in New England or the Jets that he had in Seattle. I think it's good. There's an enthusiasm there, and it's needed. And so you're looking for splash hires that are also difference makers. I think that Pete Carroll brings that. And I would imagine a little bit of time off, the enthusiasm's probably back in his DNA. And I've been talking about the coach again and rejuvenated. And so to prevent the burnout. So good on him. I can't wait to see how it turns out. They need the most important thing they got to do is in the front office with Pete and that franchise. They've got to quit. They go after first round players like you would the 7th round pick. They take flyers.
Yeah.
Don't take flyers on first round picks. I mean, oh yeah, I saw this guy 2 times. Let's where a guy would have got drafted 25 picks later, they'll draft him with the 15th pick. That's who they've been. Now they've gotten some good players. Don't misunderstand me, but overall they need to do a better job of evaluating personnel from top to bottom. I'm anxious to see the staff Pete puts together. I think it's a good hire. I do, and
Sean,
it's a noticeable one and one where you're like, wow, okay. And it also bodes well for some veteran coaches where you don't have to hire a 30-year-old or a 35-year-old and think that's the only way to go. He's youthful with great wisdom. So I didn't know how it was going to work at SC when he first got there, but his enthusiasm was perfect. And then we didn't know how it was going to work. That enthusiasm college was going to work in Seattle. Well, it worked. He's just got a unique way of getting people to buy in, which is your number one priority in the league. The staff will be hugely important, though. Matter of fact, maybe even more so than the head coach, and accountability, which the Raiders need more of.
Sean, Manuch and I had a friendly debate early on to start the show. He made a case that this team won't get to the playoff. It'll take at least 3 years. And I made a case, look what Quinn did with the Commanders, look what Peyton did with Denver, and the fact that they got their $112 million they can spend. They got, the 6th pick, I think. Carroll could turn this around pretty quick, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't even. I see. I'm one of those guys. I'm not a slow burn or baby steps when it comes to turning a football franchise. Because if he takes baby steps in 3 years, he'll be fired.
Yeah.
If they play under 5, in 3 or 4 years they'll run him out. So there is. I mean, hell, just take a look at some of the assistant coaches. I'll just stay here in Houston. Bobby Slowick was one of the hottest commodities in football last year. The Texans offensive coordinator. He goes out this year. Things seem different, maybe not as aggressive. They played not to lose. He went from one of the hottest prospects and, he's a year away from getting a head coaching job to he got fired today. And he's 2 years in after people in Houston loved him last year. Now they want him out. And it's same as the head coach. We're no longer, like with quarterbacks, and so we're no longer patient. You either win now or they'll find somebody else to replace you. Ask Antonio Pierce about that and Doug Peterson 3 years. So you can, because you're getting high picks if you've played your cards right, high picks if you don't want to be there all the time because that means you're losing all the time. But high picks, you've got money, and it goes back to what I was saying. You've got to get personnel. I don't believe that it needs to take time. But what you do need to do, whether it's Aiden O'Connell, whoever you think, you've got to get the guy under center. Without him, it will take time. Look at the ones you made. Jaden Daniels was playing in the NFC Championship game, and he's a monster, and he's a rookie. Look how quickly the Texans from a 3-win team got back into playoff material. They had C.J. Stroud. There's a lot of other things that go into it, but it's got to start there. If that guy's not good, and having Brady in the ownership, he'll say if he's average or okay, and then it's going to take a while. But what happens, you get the quarterback and the coach, then the next thing you know, the wide receiver wants to join you. Then you use the first-round pick on a left tackle, and bam, you go. And then you got Max Crosby. And before you know it, you got about 8 or 10 players, and the culture has completely changed. To me, it's buy-in, leadership, culture, quarterback, once you already have the coach. So I don't think so. Now, it may take 3 years. They may not be any good. We're going to find out with their personnel and the coaches they hire to go in and get buy-in and get people to want to do the lonely work that's committed to winning again as far as the Raiders, and not a commitment to mediocrity, a commitment to excellence like they used to have with Madden and Al Davis. So now it'll all hinge on Pete's hiring and their evaluation and their scouting and who they pick and get players that can impact you right away. And it's got to start under center. I see it all the time. It's the easiest turnaround in sports is in football. It just is, because of if you're doing it right. It's never easy, but it is the easiest of the pro sports to, you develop in minor leaguers in football. This is, if you get a monster at quarterback, the rest falls into place, and they have to have it.
Sean, and I would contend with that. I agree with that. But if you're going to have a young guy or a quarterback per se, you've got to have the pieces around you. I mean, look at Roethlisberger's rookie year. You had pieces around him, ran into the Patriots in that AFC Championship game. But there was pieces around these young guys, the Strouds, the Daniels, all the above, to help get them there. I look at the Raiders, and you know them very well. I mean, I don't see a lot of pieces. So my question is Mark Davis going to be patient? Will they spend the money? Will they get the draft choices in order to flip this thing sooner rather than later? That's my contention with this whole thing.
Yeah, and I don't know how much power he's given Pete in the building. I would imagine Pete took the job knowing he's going to have quite a bit of say in personnel decisions.
Sure, exactly.
Of course, I think he'd want that. But I don't know if he'll be patient. I know that they should spend money, and I know that they're going to have draft picks to go get. And I also know that if you'll spend money in free agency, not the 34-year-old free agent who wants mega bucks and is on his last contract and really isn't productive anymore. The name's bigger than the production. But that guy who's looking for a change, who you got to learn how to bargain basement, get guys less, buy low, sell high. You got to learn how to get those guys. So how their scouting staff,
about a minute and a half,
the development of players. So only Mark Davis knows if he's going to be patient. I do know this: Pete knows talent.
Yep.
You got to go out and get it, and you got to be willing to pay for it. And everybody, listen, regardless of the Raiders' struggles, they still want to go to Vegas. People do, and it's the Raiders. There is a history there. So if they'll pay and go get them, and there's divas too. Player empowerment's huge now, but you got to go get the guy under center. And you're right with Roethlisberger. What a blessing to go there, or Mahomes to go to Kansas City. Mm-hmm. But there are the cases. I can contend. I don't think Stroud had a lot of weapons last year. He didn't. Nico Collins was finally coming into his own after being injured. Tank Dell was a rookie 3rd-round pick.
Good to wrap after this if you guys want.
Mechie was coming out of I think with non-lymphoma, and he had blown out his knee at his last year in college. Damian Pierce was not a fit. He's a backup. He was good as rookie year, but not a fit last year because he didn't understand the inside-outside zone scheme. So they built it quickly. And what helped, though, is all the Watson, right? Yeah. Get rid of Watson and get all this stuff back. So, yeah, if you have that special quarterback, I would argue that could we name the roster offensively? for the Washington Commanders going into this season?
No.
Could you name 5 great players on their team? That answer's no.
Yep.
But McLaurin's a good player. But what they've done is what the quarterback's supposed to do, elevate a 6 and make him an 8. If you got a guy like McLaurin, you keep him in the Pro Bowl. So, yes, you got to have him. But there are the unique ones that take a team and take guys and make them into players. And so it'll be incumbent. They got to spend. You absolutely have to spend, and you absolutely have to be aggressive doing it. You can't wait, because if you're not doing it, then you're telling us you're going to be patient. Well, it doesn't. What are we waiting on? Go spend the money. If you want to win again, like your pops did, you've got to go spend money, and you got to be smart and judicious with it.
Sean, you know the drill. We have less than a minute, but just real quick, can you give us your NFC winner and AFC winner on Sunday?
Listen, we're probably gonna get fatigued and say Philadelphia and Kansas City are gonna win because they're the home teams. They've got more personnel, I would argue. I mean, it's Andy Reid, and get a couple calls from the official Philadelphia. Barkley. It would be easy for me to say that, and it's probably going to happen. But I actually think Buffalo can go in and win the game. I do. I'm pulling for Buffalo and Washington. I think this is one of the unique rookie quarterbacks we've had. They do play defense, and you're going to deal with it. If it gets down to a throwing game, give me Washington over Hurts. And I think that Josh Allen's playing at such a high level. If they flounder around like they did against Houston, meaning Kansas City, and have to wait till the end, the game will be out of reach. Kansas City's going to have to play their best game of the year, which they just find ways in situational football to win. They're going to have to do a better job of 4 quarters to keep that 15, 16, 17 wins intact. But they'll be the favorites. But I like both of the dogs on the road this week.
Great stuff as always, Sean. Have a great weekend, buddy. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
That's Sean Salisbury joining us here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B here on ESPN 620. Coming up, a little Super Bowl commercial alert. It's a spoiler alert, to be specific. You remember what's that?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Well, we have a new one. Plus, it's a free food Friday, so we got some free food for you today, thanks to Arena Sports Grill. That's all next right here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B.
Be the sixth caller at 602-230-0620. And you win today's free food thanks to ESPN
Making Mike's hot.
Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. That's 602-230-0620.
All right, today, a large one-item pizza and a pound of wings from Arena Sports Grill. How's that? Just found out Wetzel's Pretzels is going to be on board.
Nice. Very nice.
Venezia's is on board.
Oh.
Twin Peaks is on board.
Love
so
it.
we'll mix it up here next few weeks. So just to thank you for listening. I know you have choices. We appreciate you popping in for a little bit today as we're coming to you live from Wright Toyota. Again, that phone number is 602-230-0620. All right, as I get into football at 50, you may remember years ago, Bud Light had a campaign. Well, it's actually Bud, and it was "What's Up?" And here's a piece of that just to kind of refresh you. What's that? Yeah, annoying probably, right? But it stuck.
Yes, it did.
So now we're seeing the commercials are starting to come out. So this is a spoiler alert. Bud Light, of course, you know the history of Bud Light. In the last year or two, they've had some issues. Fox is charging upwards of $7 million for a 30-second Super Bowl ad. And as usual, the companies are trying to make it count by loading their commercials with celebrities. And they have a new campaign that they're going to start that this will, I think, for the most part, it will absolutely stick. And this one that I want to play, I'm not going to play the whole thing with you, but it's Post Malone and comedian Shane Gillis to make what they're calling, instead of "What's Up?" it's "Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on, Manuch. Come on.
Come on.
It's really good. It's up on my Twitter page. You want to check it out. Sports Radio ROC.
Catchphrases forever when you think about that. What's up?
On this day, it's Beer Can Appreciation Day. The first canned beer was marketed by Kruger, not Kroger, but Kruger, excuse me, Brewing in Richmond, Virginia. It was 90 years ago today. Wow. It's also Compliment Day, but I'm not going to take care of that
But
today.
Rock, I like that attire you got on today.
Yeah.
Very nice.
You didn't wear yours.
Very good today.
You know, wear ours.
Oh, I got my ESPN right there. Here it is, right there.
It's nice to see that success hasn't gotten your head, Manuch.
No,
It's your mouth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, little backhanded compliment right there.
Yeah, it's good. You're so optimistic about being successful. False hope is better than no hope at all.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, some of those backhanded compliments.
It's also Peanut Butter Day.
Love the PB&J.
Originally it was called Nut Meal.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been around 130 years.
Still do a little PB&J once in a while.
So it'll be chunky, smooth, or creamy.
I like the smooth. I'm a smooth guy. Skippy smooth.
Yeah, smooth, creamy is the same, right?
Yeah, same difference.
Yeah. So this one's a little odd. This is kind of just off the wall, but Cinnamon Toast Crunch has teamed up with is it Totino's? The pizza rolls, is Totino's?
Totino's, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Totino's.
So they got a new pizza flavored cereal. Tastes like pizza.
Can't do it in the morning. There's
Why not?
no way. Nah.
You can't eat cold pizza in the morning?
I could, yeah, I can cold, but not like cereal like that. I mean, I can see cold pizza. Yeah, but I got to heat the pizza up. I always have to heat that up, unless you're on a go like that. But the Cinnamon Toast Crunch, got to mix it with something else, something that's not quite so sugary, like Cheerios or Corn Flakes or something like that. That's just be too much sugar. It's just too much of a load on the brain first thing in the morning.
Yeah, football at 50. Interesting note that there's some rumbling that Chip Kelly, the current offensive coordinator for the Ohio State Buckeyes, the champion Ohio State Buckeyes, is up for possibly another offensive coordinator job, but this time in the National Football League.
Ooh, interesting. Well, you know what? He did his job at Ohio State, won a national title. Maybe he's got bigger fish to fry, move on to the NFL as an offensive coordinator with his new philosophy of slowing his offense down and not running a team into the ground. Even though he took your Eagles to the playoff his first year, after that, it was just it was a mess.
Don't you think there's just some guys that are just better at being a coordinator
Sure.
than a head coach? I mean,
Absolutely.
you think about it. He took over for Philly when Andy Reid left to go to Kansas City, and it was a debacle. I mean, it was just horrible.
First
he
year
didn't
they
do a
went to
good job at
playoffs.
UCLA either. Well, he inherited the team.
Okay, all right. But to my point, I think that his philosophy of run, wore linemen down. There's a lot of misgivings in that locker room. His second year, and then when they fire him after his second year, third year in Philly, and then going
He
back,
got fired his third season,
and then going to UCLA, he was doing a good job as a head coach. He was moving that team in the right direction.
Don't forget, he was at San Francisco for a year.
That's right. Yeah,
he was 2-14.
Yeah. Well, it's just his philosophy was flawed. Trying to get guys to run like air raid in the pros, you can't do it. And he learned that with this Ohio State team. He slowed everything down. They huddled more, and you saw the success. Now, if he goes back to the NFL, I think he'll carry that philosophy that he's going to slow things down to where he doesn't wear these offenses out. But at UCLA, Rock, he was doing a good job of getting that program turned around. He just got tired of all the NIL stuff, babysitting. He's like, he threw his hands up and said, enough. I'm going to go be a coordinator somewhere where I have to deal with all this stuff that the head coach has got to deal with.
Yeah, I think he's just going to be a coordinator. I think he should stay at Ohio State, see if they can run it back again.
4 minutes.
Well, the other thing, too, is, I'm sure Ohio State will keep their guys. Was Jeremiah Smith, rumors had he was offered $4.5 million to enter the portal and go somewhere. Now, number one, if that's true, is that getting to his agent and getting back out there? And why is that being leaked out there to say, hey, Ohio State, there's if he goes in the portal, his number right now is $4.5 to $5 million. You're going to have to, pretty much counter. I think Ohio State can counter that.
Yeah.
And, his number, if it's $4 million, $5 million, they'll have to do that. But that's some of the stuff right there that Chip Kelly doesn't want to deal with.
Yep.
So now Ryan Day's got to go, okay, so you guys are putting yourselves kind of, sort of, wink, wink, out there to the highest bidders. So these kids have these great years. And they're looking to go somewhere because somebody, wink, wink, is making an offer that wants you to come for $4.5 or $5 million.
Jalen Hurts has been limited to practice, several practices this week. He's dealing with a knee
3
injury,
minutes.
and he spoke today to the media, and he offered an update on his knee. And he didn't say much. He never does. But he did simply just say it's progressing. And that's really it. And then he was asked if he's going to most likely wear a brace on Sunday, and he said, I anticipate so. A man of many words.
Well, that 44-yard run, he looked pretty good to me on that one touchdown run. Now, maybe he might have tweaked it.
70 against the Rams.
Yeah,
70 yards he rushed for.
And, you don't know where that knee's been tweaked a few weeks ago. Had the concussion. He sat out a couple of weeks. If he tweaked it during that game last week against the Rams, whatever it is, but he'll be playing. But when you hear that, it's kind of like, and my first question to an odds maker would be when you see the injury reports and all that, and we'll talk to Scott Spreitzer here at 2:30 about that in particular. Is that going to change much per se when you got a guy like Saquon Barkley running the ball and you got to rely on your quarterback to run that
2
many
minutes.
yards?
Yeah, there's a lot of knocks on Philly because the passing game is just not where it needs to be.
Yeah.
But there's a crazy stat that Jalen Hurts is 4-0 in the playoffs when he throws for less than 150 yards net.
Yeah,
less than 150.
Running game helped it. His scrambling helped it. Defense helps a lot of that too. I mean, just as long as it's effective, you're efficient with the passing game. You don't have to throw for 350 yards per game. A.J. Brown, he's a guy that's got to pick up his game. He dropped a couple last few weeks. But I think that if you're balanced, you got a guy who may run 100, 125 yards in Barkley, and then he might kick in another 50 yards rushing, plus 150 to 200 yards passing. That's pretty balanced offense that you can win with.
Yeah, we'll remind you that we will be at Weekapaw Casino and Resort for the big game. We are extremely excited to have them as a new partner. Doors open at 2:00 on February 9th. We will next week start giving away some VIP, some of your own tables for 10 with all kinds of bells and whistles. So we're looking forward to this new partnership with them. They are bringing out all the stops. $4 Dos Equis and Heineken's, draft bottles. The menu is outstanding. All these items for $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10. Whereas typically you go to these big events and they gouge you like across the street. it's pretty expensive
Sure it
to
is.
go across the street
Yeah.
where we are at Wright Toyota. So if you haven't made plans or if you're looking to make plans, everything's up on our website at rockandmanuch.com. Everything's on our social. We're blasting it. So hopefully you can come out and join us. I'm really excited because coming up, we're going to catch up with the voice of the Philadelphia Eagles. That is Merrill Reese. We'll also have Scott Spreitzer. He will join us as well. That's all coming up next right here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on ESPN 620.
Right to Merrill.
It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B now on ESPN 620,
who put that in there?
98.7 FM HD2, and streaming live at
ArizonaSports.com. I just wanted
the guys are powered by the law offices of Learn.
I have that still.
Just play
I was
Nick.
told to play this at the beginning.
I don't care about that stuff. I just want to win. I just want to win. I didn't know it was like then Jerry Maguire where he's telling him all the things about himself. He's like, I'm not going to cry, Roy. And so, no, I don't care. I don't care about that stuff. I just want to win. And we're in a position to be able to if we win, go to the Super Bowl, that's pretty dope. And that's all my focus is on.
That's Saquon Barkley, of course, from the other day, and then the Coach Nick Sirianni, talking about or not being the Coach of the Year candidate. Joining us now is the play-by-play voice of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's been there since I was born, just hanging out in South Jersey. Merrill Reese joins us here on ESPN 620 with Roc and Manuch. Merrill, Roc, along with Manuch, as always, man, thank you. You make my day every time you come on. It's a treat for me. I appreciate you making some time for us.
Happy to do it.
So let me ask you, let me start with Sirianni. I'm a big fan. I thought he got snubbed as not being one of the Coach of the Years. Would you agree that he should have been in that, up there with the Campbells and Paytons?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But usually they look for a coach who has taken a team from bottom to top. Now, they finished poorly last year, losing 5 of the last 6 games, and then came around this year and went 14-3, and it could have been even better. But they did a great job. But they're usually looking for a coach like Dan Quinn, who took a 4-win team last year, and here they are in the NFC Championship game. Or look what Peyton has done in Denver with the new quarterback, Bo Nix. So that's what they're really looking for when they look for the Coach of the Year. But certainly Nick has done as good a job as anybody.
To me, it's similar to Ryan Day with Ohio State. He got a lot of heat during the season. Of course, losing to Michigan wasn't good, but there he is. He turns it, he keeps it going. He said all the right things, and they win the national championship. I feel, as an Eagle fan, I think a lot of people would agree, he's going down that same road. He doesn't get the respect, but here he is getting ready to play, possibly in the Super Bowl.
But you know what? He doesn't care about that stuff. All he cares about is winning the Super Bowl. That's it. Nick really focuses on the team and getting ready for this game. I don't think he even blinks at something like that. He really doesn't care. It's all about the team.
And when you look at this team, what is it about this team this year versus the last couple of years? As you mentioned, Merrill, they fell short last year. Things somewhat fell apart. What did he do in the offseason to resurrect maybe confidence in him or confidence in his quarterback, or just kind of wash that out and get things back on track?
Well, I can just name 2 names when you're talking about the biggest difference in this team from last year. One is Saquon Barkley, who has really, really put this offense on the map with a 2,000-yard rushing year, changed the offense dramatically. And number 2 is Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio is a great defensive coordinator.
I would agree. Would you throw in how now the 2 Georgia boys and Jaden Carter and Nolan Smith and what they've been able to do? Those guys have been fantastic.
Well, a lot of it has to do with Vic Fangio. Fangio put them in position to make plays. You always hear coaches say, we have to put players in the position to make plays. And it's become a cliche. But he really did. I mean, he took a free agent who was expected to be a special teamer and an outside linebacker from time to time by the name of Zach Vaughn, and he put him inside. He felt he belonged in the middle, and here he is, Zach Vaughn, first-team All-Pro, and he's been phenomenal. And he did the same thing with other players. He did it with Nolan Smith, who some people were saying was a bust at the end of the first round. And what Vic said, he's getting better every week. This kid is getting better. He's a good football player. And right now, he has been making key plays every single game.
And I know, Merrill, you talked about Saquon Barkley, that Jalen Hurts doesn't have to be the hero every week, or like it was a few short years ago when you guys went to the Super Bowl. But to me, he just seems under control. He's making good decisions, banged up a little bit here and there, but it seems as though he's content that he doesn't have to hit a home run every time he throws the ball.
He does what he has to do. He does what the game plan and what the defense dictates. And he has been unbelievable protecting the football.
Yeah.
After the first 4 games of this season, right prior to the bye, I think the Eagles were a minus six in turnover differential. And when the season ended, they were plus 11. That tells you what Jalen Hurts has done from that 4th game on.
And it's amazing, too, Merrill, that the team could still have success with him not even have to throw for 150 yards or more. I think he's 4-0 in the playoffs when he's under 150. But I think that's amazing what they've been able to do. It's just clearly – I do want to ask you a follow-up on that is the tight end position and how you expect if Dallas Goedert's going to if he's going to go. I know he has a practice this week, but I think that he's been such a big difference in there for blocking, especially this helping Saquon Barkley.
Well, he's both. He is great. He's both a great blocker and a great receiving tight end. And Goddard has missed his share of games this year, but I think he'll be fine for Sunday. And when healthy, he is one of the best tight ends in football.
Do you expect anyone else? Like, I know they said Cam Jurgens is kind of on the fence right now. Do you expect him to be a go? I know he's had to fill some pretty big shoes there in Philly.
I can't say too much about injuries because you can only tell what they say to you at the end of the day. This guy was limited. This guy is full. This guy's out. But I would expect that Cam Jurgens is. I'd be surprised if Cam Jurgens isn't in there. He was at practice today.
I can imagine, Merrill, at this point in the season, the NFC Championship game, all hands will be on deck. The one thing you talk about Fangio and you talk about this team, it looks like the moves in the offseason, obviously Saquon Barkley, but the depth that was added on both sides of the football seemed to really stand out. When you get to look at some of the things that they've done, but it seems like the depth was added. That was a little bit of an Achilles heel last year. Has that also been a key as far as guys filling in when the others are injured?
Yeah. I mean, you talk about Grant Calcaterra, who came in when Dallas Goedert was out, and he did a very, very good job. And then you talk about Tyler Steen, who has come in at times playing either guard or tackle, and he's a very good football player. And they have depth in the secondary. There's first of all, these two rookies have been amazing. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, they've been unbelievable. But last year with a pinched nerve or whatever it was, Quinyon Mitchell went out, and then came Isaiah Rodgers, who they had picked up in the offseason, and he's a guy who could start for a lot of football teams. And I don't want to say he's quite as gifted as Quinyon Mitchell, but he certainly is very, very good.
Merrill, listening to WIP all week, it sounds like the fan base is pretty confident with this game. And as an Eagles fan, it's hard to be confident all the time. But with this roster, from top to bottom, A to Z, clearly on paper, if they just play their game, they shouldn't have a problem in this. Do you agree?
No.
No. You've been there long enough. Yeah.
No. I showed up in 2002 and was told that Tampa Bay could never win if they're playing in temperatures that are in the 30s, and went home very, very sad.
2 minutes.
Because on that day, Donovan McNabb's favorite target was Rondé Barber. So, I've seen too much over the years, guys.
Yeah. All right.
I've watched this rookie, Jaden Daniels, and he is just unbelievable. The plays he made, the way he took them back at the end of that Tampa Bay game, the way in the last Eagles-Washington game, he went bing, bang, boom, touchdown, Jamison Crowder. So I know better than to go say, well, it should be the Eagles. They play well. It's all over. No, Washington is playing really, really well. Now, do I think the Eagles are going to win? Yes. I think they're the better team. I think they're the more experienced team, the more complete roster. But this is a tremendously exciting and efficient Washington team. So even though I may think the Eagles have the edge, I'm experienced enough to believe that this game could go either way.
Mel, you've been broadcasting for many, many years, and to watch a guy like Saquon Barkley,
to be exact.
Yeah. Wow, you're on it. When you watch, we knew that Saquon Barkley was fast, but I mean, he must have found another gear in the offseason. Is he one of the fastest running backs you've ever seen in the National Football League once he gets around the corner?
Yeah, he is. And he doesn't look like he'd be the fastest because he's not one of these slender guys. I mean, he's built so solidly and muscularly, but he takes off and nobody catches.
Good to wrap after this.
He's just a great, great player. But the reason you didn't see that before in his 5 years in New York is because he didn't have an offensive line like this. He didn't run the daylight because there was no daylight. Here he finds a gap and off he goes. And another big part of that is when Jalen Hurts lines up, you better play this team as having a +1 in the backfield. He has to be accounted for. So you can run a lot of things off of that.
Last one, Merrill. Did you get yourself some memorabilia? Did you get some, some snow? Did you get a little snow? I know you guys are selling pints of snow. Did you get your share? I know it's sold out.
Yeah, they did. They packaged snow from the game. One of our neighbors was, and they were selling it for $50. One of our neighbors was selling snow for $20 a box and $10 if you wanted yellow snow.
Thank you, Frank Zappa.
Yes, that's good stuff. Merrill, I'll be listening out here in Phoenix, so thanks so much, buddy. Appreciate you, man, always. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, guys. Always fun being on with you.
That's Merrill Reese, of course, by the way, the recipient, 2024 recipient of Pete Rozelle Radio and Television Award. That's one of the best awards you can win in the industry. We appreciate Merrill Reese for some time here on ESPN 620 and Roc and Manuch. All right, up next, we will take the fifth caller at 602-230-0620 to challenge the counselor, Kevin Rowe, for our over-under challenge. And for a big-time Learner and Rowe swag bag, which I think it's valued over $100, $150. And all you have to do is we're going to do total amount of rushing yards combined for the two quarterbacks in the NFC game. We're going to talk about the tight ends in the AFC game. And we will do an over-under on Saquon Barkley and the winner score of that Eagles-Commanders game. So fifth caller, 602-230-0620. That's the phone number. And fifth caller, and you're playing with us next. It's ESPN 620.
The defendant, attorney Kevin Rowe from Arizona's full-service law firm Lerner and Rowe. In a wreck and need a check, just call Lerner and Rowe.
Making Mike's hot.
977-1900. At Lerner and Rowe, no fees unless you win. Now, here's Kevin Rowe on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on ESPN 620.
Hello, Kevin Rowe. Are you in this state today, or are we? I'm 1 week ahead or behind. Kevin Rowe, are you there, Kevin? We will try to
get him back.
We'll try to get him back. We dropped him on his phone. Anyway,
is the counselor
even in Sun Lakes is is competing, so we have our caller.
Okay, so the counselor. So is this the time of year where he's out and about, running here?
Yeah,
running
they do those. It's convention time, so all the suits, lawyers meet somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably on the beach somewhere and wine and dine, big restaurants.
Yeah.
The Mastros.
He's out and about doing his thing. Otherwise,
but I don't know if that's this week or next week. I had a Lerner Rowe Gives Back meeting the other day. Get ready for our big golf
That's
tournament.
right.
That's coming up here April 25th.
this will be your number 12.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good job, Manu.
Yeah, I remember that
How do you know it's 12?
because we got married the week that you guys had your first tournament, going way back 12 years ago.
That's one way to kind of
that's-
remember.
I do. I remember that Lerner Rowe Gives Back
Kevin
golf
back.
tournament with that whole thing. So year 12 coming up for you guys.
That's right. Kevin now joins us to the right to the guest. How we doing, Kev?
Roc, Manuch, how you guys doing?
Doing
I'm saying
good.
hello. I'm saying hello from gloomy, cold Miami, Florida.
So see, I told you, Manuch. I told you he's
Wow.
got like one of those conventions
Yeah.
with all the suits, all the lawyers get together. What do you guys all talk about? Like, I just love to be a fly on the wall when you guys have these big conventions with lawyers. I mean, you talk about being a lawyer or certain cases you had, or what do you guys get out of it?
Well, Roc, first of all, we get networking out of it.
Okay.
We get to learn the new things that are coming out. There's a lot of vendors that are here that are talking to us about AI and law.
Oh,
I think you and I had a little bit of that brief conversation
Yes.
when I saw you. And it's really interesting. The practice of law is changing rapidly. Everything's changing, but the practice of law, I'm telling you, within the next 48 months,
Really?
it's not going to look like it does today.
Wow, that soon. So is it because isn't AI, it's not just transactional, right? It's a lot more than that with the AI. I mean, I know, if you don't mind, you kind of pull the curtain back. You use AI for some of your social media, right?
We have 100%. We've used it for social media. We've used it for scripts. I mean, I don't know if you've done that, Roc.
Oh, I have, yeah.
You feed it, and it gives you great content.
It's the best.
Look, I've used AI. Do you have an avatar of yourself, Roc?
No, I got a caricature. You've seen it. I mean, I already have my one. I don't want like a big head or something like that. I don't need one of those.
No. I mean, an avatar. That's actually you. So you can actually, there's software out there. I'm not going to say it on air because I'm not promoting it.
Yeah.
But there's a software out. There's many softwares, but software out there that you stand in front of your camera at work, and a green screen behind you would be great because then obviously you can put in whatever background you want, and you just talk for about a minute. It doesn't matter what you're saying. It's just getting your mannerisms, your voice tone, and everything, and then it tapes you for a minute, and then from then on out, you can now type whatever you want your avatar to say. So for social media, it's fantastic because I don't have to sit here and film 50 different sessions. I can just feed it what I want it to say, and now I'm actually saying it on social media.
But it's
actually me. It's not a video or caricature. It's you.
Wow. But it's so, all right, I think I get it. So it's literally, if I'm tuning into one of your posts, that's not physically you, but it's you.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Right now, there's a lot. You can tell if I'm live, obviously, and doing stuff.
Yeah.
But if it's a post that, I'm standing in my office, it very well may not be me. I mean, it's me, and I'm just typing the words in my mouth that's coming out. That's how crazy. And it's only getting better. Like, if you really paid attention to it, you could probably tell that my lips aren't perfect yet. And all these things, but it's only getting better. And it's scary.
So can I use Can I use it for like our Lerner Rowe Gives Back Zoom meetings, and I can pretend I'm there, but I'm not there? I mean, can I do that?
I think you already do that. You're there, but not there.
That's great. All right, let's move on. But I really want to keep this conversation going. I think so many people that listen
intriguing.
they all want to know what AI
Yeah.
is. I mean, I use it for my emails. I use it for my proposals. I mean, I love it. I just hope it doesn't take too many jobs
becoming
away.
The way of life. Everything you do, it has some version of it. And I think, like I said, law is completely changing. I mean, I'm not going to get in. We can talk about it another time. But real briefly, my dad showed me, from Daimler, the co-owner of Daimler Chrysler, 15 years ago, had a thing, what it's going to be like in the year 2030 for these top 100 professions. And at that time, they said lawyers will be a lot obsolete. 98% will be obsolete. And that was based on IBM Watson 15 years ago.
Wow.
And they're saying 2030, 2035. I'm telling you, it's going to be before that. Not obsolete. You're always going to have to go to court. You always need people advocating for you. But I'm just saying there's a lot of things that are changing that these computers or AI are answering questions faster than humans are.
That's crazy.
And being able to perform tasks faster than humans. It's crazy. So it's a lot of stuff going on. That's why we come out to do these events. We speak at them. There's marketing, there's business side, there's legal side, there's a whole bunch of stuff. So that's why we're here, Rock, just to fill you in.
Love it. That's why I asked. Very interesting. All right, here we go. Our over-under contest with Kevin Rowe, Lerner and Rowe. Total amount of rushing yards combined. Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts. Over-under 100 yards. Overall, rushing yards.
Combined. Yeah,
Combined.
You know what? I guess it comes down to, we know Jaden Daniels, he's going to run for sure. And that's, he puts the game on his shoulders and goes for it. So 100 yards, I don't know how much Jalen will run depending on what this knee's all about. But let's have fun. Let's go over. They're both gonna hold it in and play a big game for their team.
All right, Connor, what does Steven go with?
Steven is taking the under on this one. That was Steven from Sun Lake.
Okay.
All right, Counselor. Tight end catches between the Bills' Dawson Knox and the Chiefs' Travis Kelce will be over under 10 catches. Over under 10 catches between the two tight ends, Dawson and Kelce, in the AFC Championship game. What do you got?
Well, I definitely think obviously they're both going to be throwing to him a lot. And the last game, what did Kelce have? He had 8 or 10 himself.
7 last week. 7 last week.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So I'm going to take the over. I think they both need these tight ends. Tight ends will play huge in this game, and I'm going to go with the over.
All right, Connor. What'd Steven say?
Steven also took the over on that one.
All right, number 3, total amount of yards rushing by running back of the Philadelphia Eagles, Saquon Barkley. Over under 115. 115.
What was it?
15.
115 yards, over under.
I mean, come on, man. First of all, this is my running back. I wish I was still in the league, Rock, and having this guy running what he did last week. Come on. Man, what a great story he has been this year. So, and I know you're happy, so that's your team, Rock.
Yep.
So 115, man. Let's go with I'm sticking with it. Let's stick with the theme, the over.
Yes. Steven. What did Steven go with?
Steven also had the over for Saquon Barkley at 115.
Smart, man.
All right, winner and score of the Eagles and Commanders game. Winner and score there, Counselor.
So I sit here and play it. Should I go with my heart? Should I go with my head? My head tells me that, and there are favorites, the Philadelphia Eagles should take this game. I really like Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. I like their story. I like what we've been able to do. So I'm going to do this. Rock's not going to like this. And but I see a game 30-24 Commanders.
Hey, Jeffrey Phillips is on the other line.
Wow.
He's going to go.
Who's that?
Exactly. All right. What did Steven go with there, Connor?
Steven took the Eagles in this one with a score of 28-17.
28-17.
Ooh, you've got them smoking them a little bit. All right.
Hey, as we let you go, Kev, we had a guy on.
Last week I was quick. I was close.
Last week, or excuse me, yesterday we were talking to somebody that was from Miami. He said it's like there's snow in Florida and the weather's just awful. Are you getting all that? Is it really cold out there and everything?
I'm telling you, this morning I didn't really prepare. 'cause it's supposed to be in the 70s starting tomorrow, mid 70s. But right now, I had to go to Lulu this morning because I didn't have a jacket.
Oh, jeez.
It was
Come
moving out
on.
on a walk
Yeah,
on the beach, and it's obviously still great, but it's in the 50s.
You really had to throw out the
So,
Lulu.
yeah.
You really had to throw out the Lulu.
Yeah.
You just couldn't say I had to go to a department store.
How about just dead grand?
Get a jacket. Sure. It's got to throw in the Lulu. That's how these guys
the funny
roll.
thing is, you like Lulu now, Rock.
No, I
You're a
don't.
Lulu fan.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't wear those tight pants. The bartenders. No. And they got floods. All the guys here, right? Toyota wears those pants, and they all got floods. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get the new styles these days.
It's a good brand.
Yeah, All right, buddy. Have fun in Miami. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Take care.
That's Kevin Rowe, Lerner and Rowe. One call. That's all. Again, the annual golf tournament's coming up here on April 25th. All right, now we're going to get Scott Spreitzer, our handicapper. He will break down the AFC, NFC championship game, see if he's got some props for us as well. But first, here's Jax with your latest Local 620 sports update.
Most trusted names in the country. Nobody watches and studies games more than he does. From TalkSports.com, here's Scott.
All right, making Mike's hot.
With Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on ESPN 620.
All right, we got two main games this weekend. Of course, the Commanders in Philadelphia and the Bills in Kansas City. And Scott Spreitzer now joins us. His Twitter handle is X is at Scott Wins. He joins us now. How we doing, Scott? How's your Friday going?
I'm doing well, guys. Just starting to jump into tomorrow's 3,000 college basketball game. Should be done by about 11 o'clock tonight. So,
wow.
Yeah, I'm pumped, man. Can't wait for the games on Sunday.
How's the buzz with Pete Carroll going to be the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders?
Yeah, I mean, he's 74 going on 40, it seems. But it just seems like, it's one of those things where they'll probably have to look for a new head coach, in about 3 years. But I think what it does, the positives, besides the fact that they need some structure, and Pete brings that. He's we all know he's one of those guys who's just meticulously neat when it comes to structure. And I think he's going to be able to bring in assistant coaches that are going to be the best the Raiders have seen, at least since they've been in Vegas. And I think that's the plus side, going into maybe 3 years from now. As far as what's going to happen out of the blocks, well, they don't have a quarterback, maybe, and they're not going to get one of the top two coming out of college this year because of where they sit in the draft, but maybe next year they can find themselves a quarterback to try to put things together. So it's kind of it's a positive, but it's not like, woohoo, Raiders are going to the playoffs.
So do you feel the Raiders spend that $112 million that they've got under the cap, that they go after the right draft choices? I think what you said is they need structure. They need an adult in the room is what it seems like. But is Davis receptive to giving him the time and the leeway to build that team?
Boy, I hope so. He's such an aloof dude, man. Nobody really knows what Mark Davis is doing. Maybe he doesn't sometimes. But I think Tom Brady being in the mix has helped already with how this team is looking forward. And, it's tough to think of if Mark Davis is going to give him that free reign to do what he wants. I would think he has to with a guy like Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll doesn't need this job. Pete Carroll wants this job,
All right, let's get to this game on Sunday, the first one between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders. I think no one would have picked this team to start the season that they'd be playing in the NFC Championship, but spread 6. I know Hurts is banged up a little bit, but aside from that, they're ready. We just had the voice of the Eagles on, Merrill Reese. He said that just about everybody's going. What's your how you handicapping this one?
Yeah, early in the week, like if we would have talked on Monday or Tuesday, I would have been a little bit more concerned with Philly because, as you mentioned, Jalen Hurts being banged up, and then Kellen Moore comes out and says, nothing's going to change as far as the play calling. But I didn't get involved with Jalen Hurts' run props early this week because of the potential for further injury on the field. But I do believe Philadelphia is going to move on to the Super Bowl and do it by a spread covering margin. The Commanders play a ton of man coverage that leads to a potential big game, or at least a couple of big games for A.J. Brown, even though he's been a little banged up from time to time. But then again, at this point, who is not banged up in the NFL? And when man coverage is chasing a talented receiver like that, a quarterback with wheels can gain some yardage on the ground. And if Hurts is as healthy as they say, then he should be okay, being able to run the football a few times in this one. I look at what Washington has done to get here. They gave up 201 yards on 23 carries to Detroit. They gave up over 4 yards, or right around 4 yards per pop, to Tampa Bay on the ground. And not to take away too much from Washington, and obviously we're all Jaden Daniels fans. He's as cool as a cucumber. But they are here in a big part to opposing quarterback mistakes. Goff was horrible last week, all those turnovers. Baker Mayfield, his team's leading 17-13 in the fourth. He's at his own 13. He fumbles the ball without being touched. Washington scores a touchdown 4 plays later. Looking back at the 2 games that we saw these two teams play each other this year, of course, Philly won the first one 26-18. They're leading the second one 27-14. Hurts is out because of injury. Pickett comes in early in the game and plays a mediocre brand of football. But what I took from that, how about 79 carries for 439 yards? 5.6 yards per carry in those 2 games combined for Philly. And one final thought on this. This is Washington's 4th road game in 21 days, and I think that hurts them also. So I do believe Philly's going to win this one by double digits, guys.
When you throw all this in the blender, which you do, Scott, which is pretty amazing, you look at the the past experience of Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury as far as bringing this young team along. Then there's the Sirianni effect from that standpoint. Is that any kind of a factor one way or the other with the coaching side of things?
Yeah, I think Sirianni takes more heat than he deserves. I know he's kind of weird sometimes and argues with the home fans and all that kind of stuff, but that's Philadelphia. And so, I don't really put a lot of negatives into Sirianni. His team's always, ready to go and in contention for a Super Bowl appearance. So, yeah, I probably make the coaching staff a little bit stronger for Philly when you consider the assistants that Sirianni has in place compared to the guys you just mentioned for Washington. But I really think what it comes down to is the fact that, listen, a few of us thought that Washington had a chance to make it to they're in a division that includes the Cowboys and the Giants, but none of us had them getting this far. And as good as Jaden Daniels has been, again, they've needed massive amounts of help from opposing quarterbacks to get here with their mistakes. And one final note on this, Washington's 23rd, I should say, in yards per play allowed. 23rd in the league. The Eagles are number 1. I just think it's a tough spot for Washington.
All right, second game, Bills at the Chiefs. The night game, Chiefs right now -2. Looking at this game for you to play it or not play it, Scott, what are some of your common denominators?
Yeah, this one opened a pick, and as you said, now in a lot of books, the Chiefs are 2. There's still some 1.5s out there. It's been kind of a Joe Public on the Buffalo Bills, and the sharper money has been on Kansas City. That doesn't mean that the Chiefs are automatic because sharp money loses 2, and the public wins about half the time. And obviously no quarterback right now is as dangerous as Josh Allen, especially since he's brought the Big D discipline into his game this year. No doubt about it. Doesn't make dumb moves, doesn't throw the ball more than he should. We saw that again last week. What I don't like about Buffalo on defense, relatively speaking, they leave the middle of the field wide open at times. Patrick Mahomes with those 2 tight ends, Travis Kelce and Noah Gray, they could both have big games. It might be something people want to look at for props when it comes to Kelce and Gray, the receiving yardage, things of that nature. And Buffalo, that mediocre pass rush did not fare too well last week. They gave up 7.6 yards per play to Baltimore. They finished with a -2.7 yards per play metric. The Bills defense needs help from opposing offenses to win these kind of games against superior, teams. They got a +3 turnover margin last week. KC's offense doesn't normally make costly mistakes, especially in the postseason. And then final thoughts on this, besides Patrick Mahomes being 16-3 in the playoffs and all that, you got Christian Benford in the secondary for Buffalo. Going to play. He's banged up. Taylor Rapp, the hip injury, probably going to play. He's even more banged up. Those 2 players for the Buffalo Bills have combined for 146 tackles, multiple picks, multiple TFLs, multiple forced fumbles, and now neither one, if both play, are close to 100% healthy. I think KC goes on and wins this game by a touchdown, guys.
So what you're saying is if Buffalo doesn't have all hands on deck, they have a shot. That seems like to be it because the Chiefs, for all intent and purposes, they're pretty healthy.
They're very healthy this week, absolutely. And the linebackers that didn't play against Buffalo in that first meeting this season are back for KC, and they're close to 100%. They're playing well now in the postseason. That's something Josh Allen and this offense didn't have to face. A couple of linebackers that are going to be playing this week for KC. So, yeah, Buffalo's banged up in the secondary. They kind of play an odd scheme anyway, going up against a team that can really utilize their tight ends in the first place. And then, as you said, KC is as healthy as they've been in a while.
Scott, thank you, buddy. Have good luck this weekend. And what is really, how many games are there? About 200 tomorrow, basketball? 300? What is the number?
At least $120, at least 120.
Oh.
Call me tonight. I'll be talking college basketball about midnight.
Well, we're right around the corner. Let's get through the Super Bowl, then we're all over it. So, have you looked at Arizona State and Iowa State tomorrow? That's here. They play at noon here.
I haven't yet because the lines haven't come out. I've just started digging. I'm like at the top of the list, and I go down one game at a time.
Why?
And there's no lines out anywhere yet by any book, so we're going to wait a little bit.
Why is that? Why does it take so long? I was trying earlier this week, the teams weren't playing anyone else. Why did in college sports, that at least in basketball, that it takes more than 2 days or less than a day, I should say?
I think it's because there's so many games, and there's 364 teams that have lines.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, you've got the bookmakers who've got to dig and find the injuries. Otherwise, they're worried about getting burned. And 20, 25 years ago, when I was a young guy in this business, I mean, we had basketball lines up for Saturday by like noon Pacific time on Friday afternoons. That's changed. It's basically about 3 or 4 p.m. Pacific, a good 3 or 4 hours later. And again, we're talking about a lot more teams than we used to have that make the board now, that you can walk into any book and see that these teams are actually bettable. Southeast Missouri State, Western Illinois, Lindenwood. These teams are never teams we worried about 25 years ago. So I think the bookmakers are really trying to make sure they've got all the injuries figured out before they start putting these numbers up.
Makes sense. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
You too, guys. Take care.
Scott Spreitzer on Twitter, X at Scott Wins. Today brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook at TPC Scottsdale, the area's best kept secret for sports entertainment. We will be broadcasting from 1 to 4 Monday and Tuesday of the WM Open. That's DraftKings at TPC Scottsdale. All right, our locks of the week, and then some football at 50. It's all coming up as we continue from Wright Toyota. It's Roc and Manuch. Jimmy B, right here on ESPN 620. business against Notre Dame. We're going to catch up with Eric Moses here in just a few minutes, talk to him about the national championship. He was there, not to mention some other news. We just found out today that Las Vegas will host the college football playoff national championship game in 2027 on January 25th.
25th.
Next year, it is January 19th at the Hard Rock in Miami. And a Fiesta, it will be the winner of the Fiesta and Peach, because the Fiesta will be hosting.
They could go to March, as far as I'm concerned. I love watching college football. I know it's a little long, but you know what? It worked out great. You got college, you got the National Football League. Here they are. You played the week of the AFC NFC Championship game for the college national title.
All right, let's get to our locks from last week. You want to hang out with us, Jax?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right. So there's only 2 people that are over 500. So that means you're winning. That means at the end of the day, when you add up your wins and losses, you've won money if you listen to these 2 people.
Yeah, so let's start at the bottom. 8 and 10. Manuch had Lions minus 9.5 against the Commanders as his lock. What happened there, Manuch?
4 interceptions by the Lions, 3 by Jared Goff, and another ill-advised double, triple reverse pass by a running back. Should have never thrown that football. That's what happens.
Connor, 1-1, had Ravens minus 1.5 at the Bills. Connor, what happened with you?
Oh, you're going to make me relive it. Oh. Poor Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
He catches that ball, we have a chance.
Yeah. At least you said have a chance.
Yeah.
He didn't blow it for him, but a lot of people say he did.
Now let's get to the positive. Rock, 10-7-1, had Eagles minus 6, but they won by 6, so it's a push.
I know. So, but 10-7-1. Manuch.
I hear you.
Way over 500.
Yeah, attaboy.
And then my clientele, 12-6, up 6 units. Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown, Derrick Henry touchdown for plus 118. That lock hit. Give me that ding, Connor.
Very nice.
But that's under investigation.
How is that under investigation?
Because
I don't think you understand.
Oh,
Actually,
whoa,
I'm not.
whoa.
I'm not.
You're gonna go there?
I won't go there. I won't go there. I want to
So
keep my job.
all year long,
Very smart.
all year long, we've been doing locks of games. All of a sudden, Jack out of nowhere throws in a prop bet. So how would that count if we are doing lock spreads? Is what we've been doing, but you just decide, I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to do. And by the way,
you could have told me to turn it down, and I would have gave you another option.
Okay, but you didn't. So, but I will give you this. I did bet that and won $62. So thank you.
That's why it's been so nice to you going, well, maybe you should try that. You're actually, yeah, maybe I'll give that a run.
All right, this week, it's no brainer. I am so confident in this. Just bet the house. Eagles, Commanders. I mean, come on. Barkley, I'll throw in. I'll give you some reasons why. Barkley, obviously, we've seen what he's done. Washington's run defense is near the bottom of the league. And I know there's a lot of haters on Jalen Hurts, and he's going to be under the microscope this weekend. But I think he's going to do exactly what he needs to do. He doesn't need to throw for 150-plus yards. He just needs to manage the game. And then on defense, man, Fangio is going to blitz Daniel. Fangio will be blitzing his players, especially Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, the 2 guys they drafted from Georgia. And I think that, yes, there you go. So with that, I mean, you look at what these 2 guys did last week. 13 quarterback pressures, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and 2 forced fumbles. Go Bulldogs.
Well, and I think a different animal. I did the same thing. I got the Eagles to win and to cover this. I think the one thing they're going to have to do, though, is respect when Jaden Daniels reference to getting him on the perimeter. They'll do a good job. You talk about the pressures. They're going to have to. He's a little bit different animal. They'll roll him out. They'll bootleg him. They'll be very disciplined as far as what they're going to have to do as far as containing him. And to your point, the run defense, very good. They just got the depth. And the thing that you look at is this running game. Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts is another one of the running threats. Knee or no, bad knee or not, he's a threat to run. They throw the ball just well enough. And also with A.J. Brown, he could be a game breaker at any particular time. So I'm going to go with the Eagles as well, too, as my lock at -6 to cover and win this NFC Championship game and head to the Super Bowl.
All right, so Jax, what spread do you have? What do you have this one?
Well, am I allowed to do props again since you won $62 off my
You're
Roc
schmoozing
block last week?
Schmoozing now,
Let
Jax.
me see. I'm in my DraftKings app right now. Let me see if these numbers are going to come to fruition. So I'm going to bet $10 to win $26.
Yeah. I mean, you use that
See, this is a safe bet. I think anybody in this dealership right now would take this bet.
100%.
It's an easy bet.
Saquon Barkley
That is
rushing
money.
touchdown anytime. Josh Allen rushing touchdown anytime. You saw Josh Allen on the goal line. I thought, and on another bet I had, James Cook to score a rushing touchdown. He did not. They went Josh Allen's legs inside the 2-3 yard line. I think they're going to do that again against the Kansas City Chiefs. So I like Josh Allen at rushing touchdown. And then Saquon rushing touchdown it's going to hit. So you get those together, plus 164, place $10, win 26.64. When you drink that either beer, if it is a beer, Roc and Manuch Lager would be the only beer I would drink on Saturday night.
He's coming around.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So, Rock, you're the judge. You're the judge.
There's some pretty easy bets. Like, Saquon Barkley, I bet, to anytime TD scorer, anytime TD scorer, Jalen Hurts, either air or on the ground. I mean, there's those bets that you don't win a lot, but I'd rather be up than down.
Sure, absolutely.
So, all right, Connor, what are you going with?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take a page out of your book there. I'm going to go for something I feel pretty good about. I'm going Kansas City money line here. I was able to find the value at minus 120 early on in the week. I think that line shifting a little bit in favor of Kansas City, but I believe Patrick Mahomes is going to get it done and get his team there for the chance to three-peat.
On top of that, you got to give it, what do they always typically say? Close to 3 for home field advantage. The Chiefs are at -2. I mean, you think about that, but I think that's.
So now DraftKings got a minus 130, not 120, but that's all right. I mean, all the books are different. So, all right, there you go. Those are your locks for the week. Good luck if you decide to put some money on some of those, but good stuff there. Some football news. The first North Carolina football game under Bill Belichick will be on Labor Day on ESPN. First Monday night regular season game in the history, and they've been around a long time. For North Carolina.
And who are they playing, Rock? They did say it?
I don't know who they're playing.
Yeah. You know what? Makes sense. Labor Day, that Monday. You got Bill Belichick, the dawning of a new era, now invading the college football scene. By the way, that's a great weekend. I love the college Labor Day weekend. They start Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Playing TCU.
Could be a good game. But and then the following weekend is the start of the following Thursday is the start of the National Football League. I mean, that makes sense. Finally signed his contract yesterday, so he's legit.
So Pittsburgh is going to host the 2026 NFL Draft. The details aren't quite there yet where they're going to do it. For those of you that are familiar with Pittsburgh, they're on the North Shore or the Point State Park, right where the stadium is. There's some talk doing that. I think Pittsburgh is going to kill it.
Sure.
I think they are going to be a great home for the draft. You look at what happened this past year. It was estimated 775,000 fans showed up in Detroit. There was 50 million people watching worldwide.
2 minutes.
How that thing is just kind of continued to
Exploded.
grow.
Yeah.
If I was going to go on any of these trips, I mean, the Vegas one was cool. This one, this April, Lambeau.
Oh, very nice.
Lambeau. How cool would
I
that
thought our
be?
Nashville trip was pretty good.
Nashville was great. I wonder if Phoenix, April, our weather is awesome.
Yeah, mid and late April's fine. Should be fine.
It's awesome.
They could have it, I don't know, what do you think they'd have? Maybe down that time near the arena there?
You would take over. You could take over the football stadium.
Sure.
Glendale Arena.
Yes.
You got that whole Westgate. I mean, it'd be perfect.
Yeah, just set it up or use the lawn there at State Farm. Just use the staging area in front there.
I think the Cardinals would love to host it.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it'd be outstanding.
And then temperatures are low 80s, mid 80s that time of the year to be there. But I that whole Nashville experience we did, Rock, was a blast to do our broadcasts there, and then to have that street 200 and some thousand people on Broadway, and really to have no issues whatsoever the entire time we were there. The 2 days we were there.
Las Vegas did a great job.
Yes,
that city
they
is really growing. They're going to do stadium. It's just a fun city. If you haven't been there, you got to make plans to go there. Bachelorette capital.
Bachelorette parties everywhere that day.
Hey, the Verbo Fiesta Bowl CEO and Executive Director Eric Moses will join us. The return of Mark May. He said he would come on as he predicted Notre Dame to beat the Buckeyes. Well, that wasn't the case, and he's going to hear it from me next. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B from Wright Toyota right here on ESPN 620 and 98.7 HD2.
Time for our weekly visit with the Executive Director and CEO of the Verbo Fiesta Bowl and Rate Bowl, Eric Moses. This is our opportunity to take you behind the scenes and talk high-level college football. Eric Moses now on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on ESPN 620.
So, Eric, are you okay to join us right now? I mean, if you're busy, we can reschedule.
Yeah.
You have some time, or
we know it's your world. We're just passing through, Eric. You know,
we were all excited last week. You're in Atlanta. You're going to give us a behind-the-scenes look at the national championship. Kind of give us a peek of what we're going to see someday here with the Verbo Fiesta Bowl and
Did you say national championship?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, just checking.
So
big game last
What
week.
happened is I got frozen on the way back to my hotel trying to call you guys because it was like 10 degrees down there, and so I didn't thaw out until after your show was over.
So you're saying your North Carolina grads are kind of soft that way? Is that what you're saying there, Big E?
Oh, wow.
I'm saying that anybody who grew up on the East Coast like I did and has lived in Arizona for 2 years, your blood thins out, and mine is super thin.
Amen. I totally agree with that. That's so true. All right, let's talk about this champ game. You were there. Kind of give us your biggest takeaway with the energy around the game and these two amazing schools,
juggernauts,
so
man.
much history. What was some of your big takeaways?
Look, it was on full display. I mean, you had two blue blood type football programs with ecstatic fan bases who were all down in Atlanta. I think Atlanta set up really well for this game. I had not seen a game in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but it's a great venue. One of the host hotels was literally across the street. They have this thing called the Home Depot backyard, which is a big activation space between the hotel and the stadium. It lined up really well. They set a very high bar for other cities like Miami next year and then Las Vegas in 27 that will be hosting a national championship. Lots of it was very walkable. I will say that I think Ohio State fans may have outnumbered Notre Dame fans.
Okay.
Let's call it 55-45.
Right.
It wasn't huge, but there was a lot more. It felt like a lot more red there than green. I am surprised, given the energy and the passion and the excitement that you felt down there, that the ratings were as low as they were. I mean, 22.1 million is what we've seen for semifinals in the past, and so I believe the number last year was 25, and so I can't really explain that. You got these two great programs, neither of which has won in many years, and I mean for Notre Dame in decades. I don't know why America didn't tune in as much as I certainly would have expected.
Eric, we've been back and forth on this all week, and I think clearly is you had a president inauguration going on, and it's Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah.
I think the combination of those two, and it's 31-7 in middle of the third quarter. I'll be honest, I'm a Buckeye fan, and I was switching into, I wanted to see some of this inauguration as well. And so I kind of flipped when it was 31-7. I'm like, Buckeyes got this. I think that's one of many reasons, but I think that's clearly a big one.
Yeah, maybe so. And I think they peaked around 25 or 26 million.
Okay.
I thought the number would be more like 28, frankly.
Me too.
So who knows? Maybe we'll figure it out. As you rightly point out, the later date for the national championship game may have some bearing on it. At least next year, we know it won't be it won't be Inauguration Day. It might still be MLK Day, but it won't be Inauguration Day. And so hopefully the ratings will be back up next year.
So Eric, next year it's on the 19th, but then when it's in Vegas, it's the 25th. The 25th. That's crazy. And, hey, I wish we both agree. I think everybody here would agree. We could go college football 12 months out of the year. But, I mean, that just seems really late, and it's so close to the Super Bowl.
It's a change that one of many that college football is requiring us all to adjust to. And we've got to see if our fans want to make that adjustment. I know as it relates to us, and next year hosting a semifinal on Thursday, January 8th, it's not the traditional date that the Verbal Fiesta Bowl usually occurs, but being a week later, I'm hoping that those who leave the Valley and the state of Arizona during the holidays maybe are back. And so that will allow us to have better opportunity to sell to people locally here and not rely as much on the travel parties that are coming in to follow each of the specific teams.
So with the CFP, as you mentioned, there's always changes. When will there be meetings? Is that something coming up where they'll start discussing some of this stuff?
Yeah, management committee meets in April. The New Year's Six Bowls, of which we are one, we will have a meeting with the CFP in April as well before their meetings with the management committee to ensure that we are discussing things that we saw that we thought
went well, and those things that we think we can improve upon. And then arming the CFP executive director and his staff with our input and feedback, such that when they go into those meetings with the management committee, they have everyone's kind of input together to figure out how we continue to strengthen the college football's postseason.
And I can imagine with the Verbo Fiesta Bowl and the Rate Bowl having a couple of weeks to kind of digest it. I got to imagine the accolades have got to be pretty high. If there are any things that need to be adjusted or worked on, what might those be? And I may make a suggestion that you have Kansas State here no matter what, one way or the other. I'm just saying right now.
Well, I mean, since you opened the door, I'm going to walk through it. Look, we think that the execution of the games went well. Good. I will say, and I love the K-State folks and Gene Taylor, their AD, I consider a friend. We thought they would sell more tickets. And so I thought there would be a much larger contingent of purple here in the Valley than there was. We had reasonable, if not low, expectations for Rutgers coming from the Northeast during that time of year, so close to Christmas and coming that far. But we thought K-State would travel better. So pleased with the television reception. We were up 30% over last year. We were also up over the game that occupied that time slot last year. I can't remember which bowl it was, but we did better than them. Very pleased with the execution of our pregame party outside Chase Field. Yeah. There was energy downtown. People were excited. The kickoff time at 3:30 was great. All of those things were great. We just needed more people in the building.
Let's talk about overall with the Verbo Fiesta Bowl and the Rate Bowl. I'm going to sound a little biased here, Manuch, but record numbers with fundraising, selling out the par 3, the football kickoff. Eric, just I know you love an opportunity just to kind of, there's 2,000 volunteers. I'm sure some are listening when it comes to how this year went.
Yeah, could not have been more pleased with the effort and the commitment, the dedication.
3 minutes.
Yourself and so many others have shown this organization over this last year. You mentioned the performance on some of our key events, selling those things out, really embracing them, and making certain that we're able to produce those revenues that we can then pour back into communities all across the state. And so it was a great year. And just really, really happy. Ryan Hatch, obviously our chair this year for the Yellow Jacket Committee, set the tone early in terms of laying out his strategy, in terms of telling everybody we were going to be louder and prouder, and that we were going to lead with an attitude of gratitude, all of which I wholeheartedly endorse. And we saw the results of that this year. And so a big, big thank you to all the Yellow Jackets, all of our ambassadors and volunteers and others who give of their, as I like to say, their time, talent, and treasure to this organization so that we can continue to have the impact that we have across the state.
He's the CEO of the Verbo Fiesta Bowl and Rate Bowl here on Roc and Manuch on ESPN 620. All right, let's talk about something new that the Fiesta Sports Foundation has stepped up. And this is something I know Manuch loves, and I know he's going to want to go, the National Quarterback Club.
Well, he's got to be there. I mean, the quarterback
minute and a half
be at the National Quarterback Club.
Absolutely.
I mean, how can we not have that?
Because he fits right in with Jim McMahon, Doug Williams, Donovan McNabb, Rodney Peete, Jake Plummer, Dan Manucci, Matt Hasselbeck. Sure. Yeah, it fits right in there, Eric.
And if I need to accept
it flows so well. It flows so well.
Hey, I was there with Bells on accepting Brock Purdy's award for him last year. Absolutely, I'll be there.
So explain that a little bit.
We are so excited to be the presenting sponsor of the National Quarterback Club Awards event on February 28th over at the New Caesars Republic Hotel and Resort. It's going to be great. This year they are nominating and inducting into their Hall of Fame Steve Spurrier, the old ball coach, who most people know is the old ball coach, but they don't know he used to throw that thing around when he was in college and in the pros. And so he's going in. Marlon Briscoe, who was posthumously going in, was the first black starting quarterback in the NFL with the Denver Broncos before moving to a wide receiver position for the rest of his career in the NFL. So he'll go in. And then Carson Palmer, who obviously played here for the Cardinals, had a great career at USC, and is one of the better quarterbacks that we've seen in the last many years. And so we're excited about that Hall of Fame class. We've got Bryson Daly, who set some records this year at
Good to rep whenever.
West Point as a collegiate quarterback of the year. We've got Julian or Juju Lewis, who is replacing Shador Sanders at Colorado. He's Coach Prime's five-star recruit that'll be going up to Colorado. And then we have yet to announce the professional quarterback of the year. Some of the folks who could end up receiving that honor are still playing. And so we will have to see how that goes, but I think it'll be a big name. It's going to be a great room, as you guys both know. I mean, last year it was chock full of notables. This year we're expecting Jim McMahon, Doug Williams, Donovan McNabb, Matt Hasselbeck, Steve Berline, Rodney Peete, Ron Jaworski, hopefully Jake Plummer. I'm talking to Cardell Jones and a couple other quarterbacks to have them all come out. We think this is a great opportunity for the Fiesta Sports Foundation and the Fiesta Bowl to embrace a award for the leader on the field and often off the field of these teams, and to help to create, if you will, and Manuch, you'll appreciate this brotherhood amongst quarterbacks, right? The Hall of Fame guys who are no longer playing, the current pros, the current college kids, and the high school kids. There's a through line there, and we want to help to bring those folks together, whether it's either to talk X's and O's or to talk about transitions from one level to the next, or what do you do when you leave the game. And so we're leaning in on it. It's going to be a fabulous event. It was last year, and people should go to fiestabowl.org/NQBC to get their tickets before they're gone.
Eric, great stuff. We'll catch up with you in a few weeks or so as we get closer to that event. And thanks for joining us every week this season. It's been great. And we look forward to doing it this upcoming season as well.
Man, love you guys. Looking forward to seeing you soon. And congrats again on another great college football season.
You got it. Eric Moses, the Verbo Fiesta Bowl CEO and Executive Director here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. All right, we're shift gears. We've got Mark May in about 20 minutes. But coming up, a little sports bar gossip. The most and least single NFL fan base, plus you could get paid $1,000 to taste test the Costco's Super Bowl snacks. And I'm starting something new today. News of the weird, Manuch.
News of the weird.
Of the weird. I'm going to tease it by saying there's an NHL goalie who blamed a tray of cheesy nachos for letting a goal get in the net.
Get out.
Yeah, stick around. It's next right here on ESPN 620.
at 77th Street and Frank.
Making Mike's Hot
in Scottsdale. Now back to the guys on ESPN 620.
All right, the most and least single NFL fan bases. Take a wild guess, boys.
Ooh, most.
Let's go single fans.
Single fan. I will. Oh, let me think about. I'm going to go Dallas.
They're number 3.
Okay.
I got top 5.
I'm going to say the Arizona Cardinals because I am a single Arizona Cardinals fan.
They're number 2.
Oh, wow.
Number 1.
Connor, you want to play? So 2 of the 5 have been announced, but number 1's still out on the board.
I'm going to go Las Vegas Raiders.
Not on the board. Cincinnati Bengals.
No, okay, I never got that.
Steelers were number 4, and Patriots were number 5. How about least single fan bases? I got 5 here.
Family. I'm going to say Kansas City.
They're number 3.
Jax.
Chargers?
No, come on.
That was a bad guess.
Yeah.
Connor.
Let's go with. Ooh, this is a tough one. I'm going to go with the 49ers.
49ers are number 4.
Let me throw it out there. Buffalo.
Nope, not on the list. The Philadelphia Eagles.
Eagles.
Yep. They're the least single fan base. How about that? Not that this matters in any way, but there you have it.
It's a nice little.
All right, I just did this. I signed up for this. There's a website called Finance Buzz.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they give you like hustles, like side jobs,
Okay.
things you may want to get into. So they're looking to hire someone to taste test. They'll pay $1,000, plus they're going to give you a $500 gift card to buy it all.
Really?
Anybody can apply, and basically they're calling it the Sideline Sampler Side Hustle.
Okay.
Wings, pizza, mini tacos, mozzarella sticks, things like that. You take a picture of each item, you write a brief description, and then rate them based on how good they are and how hard they are to make.
Okay.
Cutoff for applications is next Wednesday. Go to financebuzz.com/sideline sampler.
So they want you to go out, sample everything, take the photos, write something up, and then they'll determine whether you're the person or persons to get the $1,000. By the way, I love going through Costco and doing the samplers. I mean, it's
you're that guy.
Oh, I
never do it.
Oh, we love it. If I go with Lori,
you're that that person that got in with a fake Costco
no.
card, just
I
trying
got
to get free food.
Got my own Costco card, but the hot dogs are great there. Pizza's
They're not
okay.
free.
No, I know that, but
pizza's not free. You're talking about getting samples.
No, I know. I do the samples
because you're over 60.
No, I do.
Yeah,
this.
dude, that's embarrassing.
No, I love doing the
Jax,
samples.
you don't get
It's
Come
good.
on. No, it's an
I don't
old
have a
person
Costco card.
Yeah. I mean, I bet Jimmy B's always there too with you.
The
I mean, it's
samples
all
are
you old
good.
guys.
No, and then you got to get the hot dog. The hot dogs are known for the hot
yeah,
dog.
everybody
Probably walked
that.
around, huh?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
part
you
of
probably go down every aisle trying to find a free sample.
It's a good workout. Get up and down those aisles. How can you not go up and down all the aisles at Costco? $500 later.
All right. The Super Bowl commercials are starting to come out, and a little bit of a spoiler alert for you. If you remember the Bud commercial, when the guys are all in their room and they're in different rooms and they're calling each other,
Yes.
and they're saying this. Well, it was awesome, right?
Yes,
awesome.
it was.
This year's Bud Light ad is going to feature Post Malone and comedian Shane Gillis to make "Come On."
Oh,
It's going to stick.
Little
It's
tick.
going to stick.
Little take off of what's up.
Well, obviously,
Yeah.
very good. But you're pretty good at getting
Well, no, I
things
mean,
together.
the other one was it Bud Wise
That
the
was
frogs.
good. Yeah,
Good
that
one.
was good.
Very memorable.
Yeah. So this is news from the weird. There's an NHL goalie that's blaming one of his shots that got past him in a tight game on a tray of cheesy nachos that flew from the stands and onto the ice. The Capitals goaltender, Logan Thompson, said that snack tray distracted him from stopping a shot during a close victory over the Oilers. He ended up telling the reporters after Tuesday night's game, I mean, the Capitals still won a game 3-2, but he's really salty about it. He's really upset about it, and he wants something to change, that he gave up a goal because he was distracted by Nacho.
How did the Nacho tray get over the?
That's not hard to do. I could easily throw a tray.
But isn't there the glass all around?
There's a glass and there's
Manuch, I don't mean to cut in here, but you got to remember when these hockey games, guys are throwing like full fish over the fence.
Well,
I mean, you're getting mackerels on the ice.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Why would anybody, unless did something happen prior to that caused somebody to throw the nacho cheese tray?
Why do people at games do crazy
Well, that's
stuff?
true. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that person will be
Sipping a Bud Light.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And his focus for something probably would it drop off to the side of him? Was it right behind him? I would distract if he's in front.
Think about it. That's just something you normally see on the ice.
Yeah, no, it's not.
We need to
It's
get Steve Peters, former Coyotes.
Distractions 101.
Who's a former goaltender, and say, hey, dude, what's this all about? You know? Hey, big news today. The Raiders have hired Pete Carroll as their next head coach. He's still going to teach a class at USC.
That's
his part-time
interesting.
job. So he's going to return to the sideline after leading Seattle to 2 NFC championships, as well as the Super Bowl. He's one coach, and there aren't many. He's probably maybe 3. And I got to look it up, but I'm sure it's a handful that have won a Super Bowl and have won an NCAA championship.
Yeah, you're probably few and far between. I really thought that the Raiders would lean toward Mike McCarthy. I really did. They lean that way, but I think Pete Carroll's another great choice. Kind of having the guys in the room that understand what it takes to build a program, to build from the inside out, and some of the things that are going to be, to be there to be necessary to win.
What do you think about Liam Cohen and his decision to withdraw his name from Jacksonville, and then they fire the GM, and then he goes back and he signs the deal?
I think that he knows that. I think the big thing, number one, is they must have given him a pretty damn good offer from the financial standpoint. I get it. I think he's got Trevor Lawrence. He's done a great job with Baker Mayfield, what he did in Tampa. Baker Mayfield, his best years. Last couple of years have been his best years. I think the thing that for him to say, hey, I'm not interested, and then they keep pursuing him and pursuing him and pursuing him.
But he agreed to go back.
He did
to the Buccaneers.
But they
there
called
was a deal.
Yeah, they called one last time, and I don't know if they got him there or not, but they did talk to him. Khan's involved, the general manager's involved. I think the one thing was Balky was fired by the Jacksonville. I don't think that he was interested, and I think that might have came out to where if we want Cohen, we got to fire the general manager, because it seems as though I don't know what the rub was, if any, but it seems all of a sudden that since they got a new general manager, that Cohen went, okay, now you got a new GM. I can work with them. The money's right. You got the quarterback. I believe Christian Kirk is still there as well. They got a couple of decent receivers to work from.
But is that a character issue?
With
you know, Josh McDaniel did it. He did it. If you recall, he was offered the Indianapolis Colts job after he wins when he lost the Super Bowl to the Eagles when he was with New England. He decides 2 days later that he didn't want the job, changed his mind, and he ended up staying in New England. Bill Belichick did it, of course,
with the Jets.
Parcells did it with the Bucks. Cliff Kingsbury, he told the Raiders he wasn't going to be their offensive coordinator after he agreed to join Antonio Pierce's staff 2 days later.
I think a lot of things that happen, Rock, is they look at the whole picture. It's kind of nice to be wanted like that and go, all right, let me take a look at this. And then all of a sudden they start talking to the general manager or the owner, and there's some things that just they're not comfortable with. And then the last second they say, you know what, guys, I'm going to back out. The Belichick thing, he was signed till delivered. He backs out the day before he's going to go into New York and goes off to New England. So that was very interesting. So I think that there's a lot of factors, but I think in this case, once Balky was gone, I think Cohen said, all right, let's go get this thing done.
Coming up, 2-time Super Bowl champion Mark May will talk about the Bucs' big win over the Fighting Irish and his thoughts on his former team, the Washington Redskins, now Commanders, in the NFC Championship game against the Eagles. But first, here's Jax with the latest, your latest local 620 sports update.
King Sportsbook on a whole new level at TPC Scottsdale. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B at DraftKings at TPC Scottsdale.
Hey, it's Dom with Venezia's Pizzeria. You know us.
Now to talk everything football is two-time Super Bowl champion, a member of the famed Washington Redskins Hogs offensive line, 1981 first-round pick, earned All-American honors at Pitt, and a member of the College Football Hall of Fame, football analyst and commentator Mark May, now on ESPN 620.
All right, let's get on record. Score of the game.
Taking Notre Dame, 28-27.
It's Ohio State together at the Mount.
Making Mike's hot.
Champions of college football.
Hey, how you doing today?
Hey, what's up, Mark? How you doing,
Mark.
buddy?
I'm still in mourning, guys. I hid all the sharp instruments in the kitchen and make sure they were put away because the way that Notre Dame fought back gallantly at the end of that game. But Ohio State is the best team money can buy. They set a new precedent in college football, and guess what? This is the blueprint for the future. Until they change this and put up guardrails, whoever has the most money wins.
You know, it was 31-7 midway through the third quarter. They blew them out. Come on. It wasn't even a game. I was switching over to the inauguration because, I was like, this game's over. Come on, why couldn't they at least
Notre Dame to begin the game, and Riley Leonard.
Then what happened?
Because he gave his all. And the bottom line is, yes, Ohio State came back. They should have. When you've got 15 five-star players on your roster and your opponent has 0, what do you expect the outcome to be?
Well, why didn't you say that going in? Why didn't you say that going in? No, you were all over the Fighting Irish. You said they were going to win.
I was all over the Fighting Irish, and I did say that Notre Dame has 15 five-star players, and Ohio State has 15 five-stars, and Notre Dame has none. I did say that the other day. But the bottom line is, you've got to respect Notre Dame the way they fought back. They could have folded. It could have been a blowout. At least they made it a game towards the end of the game. And without that Jeremiah Smith at the end of the game, that big pass, that big explosion play to get them another field goal, that game's in jeopardy at the end. That could have gone to overtime.
Yeah, what the hell was Alec Golden, the defensive coordinator, thinking that 3rd and 13, you got him backed up, you're bringing the house, you're going to go man-to-man on the kid outside? What was he thinking on that, Mark?
He's thinking about going to Cincinnati and getting that big contract with the Bengals. That's where he just signed with, wasn't it? Or was that someplace else?
I couldn't believe they were going zero coverage with that kid. It's, you just hold them, they punt it, you get a chance to get the ball back and go down, 2-point conversion, you tie it up.
And the other thing is, you just saw the blueprint before when Texas played them. Texas played zone. They made sure a safety was over the top.
Yes.
And that was the way that they really contained Jeremiah Smith. And in this game, they didn't do that. He's always been a man-to-man coverage defensive guy and cover 0. And it's like, you know what? If you've got the athlete to do that, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But if the other athletes on the other side of the ball are more dominant than your players, you can't do that.
All right, so let's kind of looking forward. Rumors have it that Jeremiah Smith is being offered to go to the portal by whomever for the tune of $4.5 million. And also, does Ohio State have to pony up another 15 to 20 to keep a lot of these guys around? You and I and Rock have talked about policing this entire fiasco, if you will. How's that information? I'm sure the back channels are saying, hey, look, if you come here and here. But that was leaked. Doesn't the NCAA see something leaked like that, have to get more control? Can they even get control of something like this?
No, the NCAA is toothless. They're worthless. We all know that. They're on their way out. In 3 years, they probably won't even be around except for the March Madness and Olympic sports. And the bottom line is college football is just going to overtread them and just say, you know what, we're done with you. Goodbye. We're going to control ourselves. These are our rules. These are our parameters. These are our guardrails. We don't need you. And the thing about Jeremiah Smith, yeah, I put into the pick collective. Yeah, we went after Jeremiah Smith. Yeah, we offered him $4 million. Maybe we'll kick it to 5. Guess what, guys? Because I'm getting my money out of Roc and Manuch because Kansas State can't play with the big boys, and I want my cash.
I know. Well, our quarterback had to go to big boy ball in order to go ahead and win an Addy and get paid for it.
That's true. That's why he went to Ohio State. But the thing is, you look at this Ohio State team, 2 great coordinators on both sides of the ball. They've got terrific players on both sides of the ball that are going to the NFL, 2 deep at running back. At wide receiver, they're 3 deep. You look at the quarterback, Will Howard's probably going to get drafted like in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round. This is a team that's loaded. We knew that they were loaded. They just had a couple hiccups, one at Oregon at Austin Stadium. Tough to win there. And one against Michigan that they just can't get over the hump against Michigan. They've lost 4 in a row. But the bottom line for you Ohio State Buckeyes fan, cherish this. You're national champions, but you still can't beat the Michigan Wolverines.
Who cares? It doesn't matter. You won the national championship.
That's all they care about. They don't care about that team up north.
Oh, come on.
You know what? It's good because I can get to rub it in again. I've got another year to rub it in that Michigan beat you for the 4th year in a row.
Oh, my gosh. All right, let's turn the page. Let's talk about something that...
Okay, we'll move on. I'll let it go. It's just one of those things, guys, that's like, you know what? They've been giving me the business for years. Give them their flowers. They won a national championship. I really respect them. They've done a terrific job, and applause to them.
All right, A to Z, the roster of the Philadelphia Eagles is clearly better than the Washington Commanders. Now, granted, this is a great story. I love what Jaden Daniels is doing, but as you kind of not necessarily handicap this, but as you be an analysis of this game, how do you kind of predict this without your heart being a former Washington Redskin? Or you can't do that?
Bottom line, when you look at this game, it all comes down to injuries, particularly at this point in the season.
Fair.
How injured is Jalen Hurts' knees?
Yeah.
How bad is that injury to his knee? Can he go 4 quarters? Can he run the football? Because if he can't run the football and they're one-dimensional and they have to hand it off and throw it, they're going to stack the box. Because when you look at the way that they played this team, and their great running back, Saquon Barkley, had almost 300 total yards against them in 2 games. Bottom line is he's hot, and he's had 324 yards in the playoffs, and he's averaging over 6 yards per carry. So you've got to stop him first and foremost. But if Jalen Hurts can't run the ball, they will stack the box. And if he gets injured in this game, because their defensive coordinator for the Commanders has already said, we're going to treat him like a running back, we're going to get physically after him, we're going to hit him as much as we can. If he goes out of the game and Kenny Pickett comes into the game, it's all over for the Eagles. Even though they've got a better roster, they've got better depth, and you look at this team, they're nicked up on the offensive line at guard and center and in the defensive secondary. So that's a plus for the Commanders at this point. But the same thing about the Commanders. Cosme, their best offensive lineman, the right guard, he got injured and blew his knee out, so he's out, and he's not going to play in this game. But the thing is, guys, when you look at all 4 of these teams, this may be the first time ever in NFL history that I can remember, either playing or calling games, that all 4 teams in the NFC and AFC championship games have never turned the ball over. That's amazing.
That is crazy.
That just doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's incredible. And you look at this Commanders team too, Mark. You follow this team. Were there some, along with Dan Quinn coming in and Cliff Kingsbury's offensive coordinator, were there some key components, key ingredients? I know picking up Bobby Wagner in the offseason, were there some key components or key ingredients that might have led you to believe that a rookie quarterback could lead this team in the NFC Championship game?
Yes, and it came down to Cliff Kingsbury and the way that he runs his offense. Even though you saw it here with the Arizona Cardinals, this is a guy with the worst front office and the worst team and the worst facilities, because that's been out there noted by the NFLPA that they are the worst facility, the worst team. They take care of their players the worst in the NFL. They're in the bottom 3 basically. He took this ragtag bunch to the playoffs. Yeah. And the bottom line, if you're an NFL owner, you're looking and saying it's like, that's one of the worst.
Oh, 2.5 left.
He took that team to the playoffs, even though they lost. We have to consider him for a head coaching job. And if he doesn't get it this year, he'll get it next year. But the ingredient was Kingsbury getting along with Jaden Daniels. That's the quarterback that he wanted in the draft. That's the quarterback that he got. Hey, kudos to Dan Quinn. He's a guy that, they brought in, and it was one of those things where nobody thought he was going to be that successful. Because, yes, he got Atlanta to the Super Bowl, but they were a 4-touchdown lead in the second half, blew that, and lost. And the last time we saw Dan Quinn in the playoffs with the Dallas Cowboys, they gave up 100 points to the Green Bay Packers, the youngest team in 50 years to make the playoffs. So you're looking at that resume, and you're looking at that no other teams were bringing him in for interviews, but the Commanders did. They brought him in. The smartest thing he did is he hired Cliff Kingsbury, and they drafted Jaden Daniels, and things went off in the offense, and everything's clicked. And so far, so good. Things are going in the right direction. They still have a chance to win this game. They're a 6-point underdog, guys, but they've always been underdogs through the second half of the season and found ways to win. So don't count them out if this game is close, particularly in the fourth quarter.
So what do the Bills have to do to beat the Chiefs in a playoff format, not a regular season format, where I think Josh Allen's 4-0 regular season and 0-3 in the playoffs? So what's the ingredient that's going to have to happen for the Bills to beat the Chiefs in Kansas City?
One, the team.
1 minute. You guys are good to wrap after.
The city is winning close games. They set an NFL record by 1-score wins. And the Buffalo Bills, during the regular season, they own the Chiefs. In the playoffs, the Chiefs own the Bills. So it's going to come down to quarterback play in this game. And, yeah, it's going to be up to the offensive line. It's going to be every position. But the team that doesn't make that big mistake, I already said that none of these 4 teams had made a turnover in the playoff series. If the first team that makes that turnover can capitalize on that situation, they're going to have a huge advantage over the next team. So if Buffalo gets a turnover and goes down and score, that's a huge advantage for the Bills, and vice versa for Kansas City. But this is one of those games that the Bills have to get that monkey off their back, and this may be the year. They're running the ball with Cooks in the backfield and doing a terrific job there and setting everything up. Their offensive line's been terrific, but I'm just worried about the injuries of their offensive line and their defensive secondary in this game against the Chiefs. The Chiefs had 8 sacks in that game in their last game against the Texans. That's one of the things that Buffalo has to be wary of protecting their quarterback.
Right.
The thing about him is he's not afraid to take that ball down and run and get first down to move the chains.
So Philly and KC, right? Is that what you said?
That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Philly and the Bills.
There you go. That boy Mark May. There you
Then
go.
I catch him off guard there.
Circling the wagons.
the Buffalo Bills.
Good stuff. Mark, we love having you on, man. Thanks for making some time for us. We appreciate it. I heard
one last thing.
Okay.
Where's my Mile in the High Club guy? Where's Jimmy B today?
Oh, he doesn't work on Fridays. He's he lives in Sun Lake, so they have like the bingo or something on Friday.
The Mile High Club guy.
Don't you remember?
I remember.
A couple years ago, he came up with the story of the Mile High Club.
Yeah, he did.
Jimmy B's my Mile High Club guy.
That's awesome. Oh, we love you, Mark. Thanks, buddy. Have a good weekend.
All right, guys. You too.
Mark May joining us here. You can follow him on X at Mark_May. All right, coming up, we'll have our Learner Row one call. That's all. I'll tell you what's on tap as we finish up here at Wright Toyota. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on ESPN 620.
A call of the day. If you're looking for a full-service law firm, just make one call, that's all. 602-977-1900. Lerner and Rowe, voted Arizona's best law firm.
And then the Grand Canyon, Utah State on ESPN Plus.
Making Mike's hot
this week. It looks like to watch any college basketball.
I have that, so I'm okay.
Did we ask you?
No, you looked at me, and I thought I'd offer up something. So
good. Then
there you go.
Then you could do a report on Monday.
Okay.
On every one of those games
that was on ESPN Plus. Okay.
I'm gonna have it too, but
okay. See,
I don't know if anybody cares.
I'm surprised Jimmy even found ESPN Plus that he's had that. He's got ESPN Plus, Rock.
Cares.
He's got ESPN. Well, he had to let you know. He hadn't really offered up much yesterday in reference to all the games that are going on out there. But yeah, he's got ESPN Plus. He's going to watch all the basketball games. I will say this, though. Jimmy is a basketball aficionado.
No, he really is. He knows his basketball.
He knows he's got the college game down, the NBA game down. He knows who that seventh guy off the bench for Charlotte is. Got a little background on him. So he's pretty much dialed in as far as that.
He does. That's his niche. All right, here's what's on tap, brought to you by the Roc and Manuch Amber by Dos Equis, which is available at some refreshment stands, as he would say, throughout the valley, one being Arena, Sports Grill, and Upper Crust. All right, tomorrow, you'll start your day out with Iowa State in town to take on the Sun Devils. You'll be able to hear that on the mothership, Arizona Sports 98.7. It'll also be on ESPN Plus, which Jimmy has. 1 o'clock, Colorado at Arizona. That is also on ESPN Plus, which Jimmy has. And then 7 o'clock, Wizards and Suns, also on Arizona Sports 98.7. TV is AZ Family 3 TV. And then Grand Canyon is at Utah Tech, 7 o'clock on ESPN Plus. And then, of course, the Sunday, you got NFC first, followed by the AFC.
This should be a great weekend. Our State 48 Roofing, it's your call question of the day. State 48 Roofing, the #1 preferred roofer in Arizona, proudly serving the Arizona residential and commercial market for over a decade. For a free quote, repair, installation, head to state48roofing.com and follow them on social media by searching hashtag #SexyRoofStatus. Who do you feel will be this year's Super Bowl after the weekend? Is it the Chiefs and Eagles, Chiefs and Commanders, Bills versus Eagles, or the Bills and Commanders? Well, leader in the clubhouse, Chiefs versus Eagles, 50% voted that. And then you had Bills versus Eagles, 33.3%, followed by the Bills and Commanders at 16.7%. Chiefs and Commanders, nada, 0, zilch. So it looks like the fans have voted Rock Chiefs versus your Eagles. I like the Bills versus the Eagles.
Yeah, I really think you hear Dallas Goddard's going to go for Philly. That was a question if he was going to go or not. Cam Jurgens, who's the center, had to replace Kelsey. He's been banged up, but he looks like he's going to go. I know Mark was just talking about injuries. All four teams are banged up.
Yeah.
But Jalen Hurts is going to wear a knee brace, so we'll see how that works for him. But the injury report is out, and most of these guys are all going to play, or there'll be a game time decision. I don't think that's going to be a problem. But they're so much deeper than Washington.
Well, they are, and Jalen Hurts. You looked at that 44-yard run; it was kind of, you're like, wow, he broke off to the open. The defensive end committed. He did a nice job by pulling that down. Goes down for the 44-yard touchdown run. He really hasn't had to run that much. Now he scrambled a couple times, had a couple of bootlegs and waggles, but I think he'll be fine enough to be that threat that this Commanders defense is going to have to account for. But you think of the two games that Saquon Barkley's rushed for over 300 yards in their two games this year. Matter of fact, that's all NFL Network's been showing is the two games pretty much the last 2 days.
Yeah, so
those two teams.
He's averaged 148 yards in those two games against Washington this season. He needs exactly 148 yards to break the record for the most rushing yards in a season, including the playoffs. Do you know who he will be beating, or who he will top,
including the playoffs?
Including the playoffs.
Oh,
any of you? Any idea?
Tempted to say Eric Dickerson.
No, he is 7th on the list.
Man, Roger Craig.
Roger Craig is not on the list.
Yeah. Got all the season playoffs combined.
Right now, Saquon is basically in 3rd, but the first place is also the same player at the 2nd place.
Oh, man.
Then it's Derrick Henry, Jamal Anderson, Sean Alexander, Amon Green, ED, Adrian Peterson, and Emmitt Smith, who is a tremendous running back. And I'll give you the years.
Okay.
97 and 98. I don't think.
Oh man, who's running? Terrell
Davis.
Terrell Davis. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. He 1998. It's 24.76, and then 23.31 in 97.
Yeah, the back-to-back years.
So that's ironic. He's averaged 148 yards, Saquon Barkley, but needs 148 yards to break the record.
You know what? I'm sure he'll get quite the consideration for MVP award. Everybody's talking about Lamar and Josh, but you know what he did this year to be 2,000, close to 2,000 plus, whatever. And then pretty much sit out that last game to say, hey, let the other running backs play, let the other guys eat. It commend him But to see what he did in a 17-game schedule is still quite the feat.
And not be, banged up. I mean, he is,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Thing is Washington gave up over 200 yards in both these. It wasn't all Saquon. I mean, it's, you
Sure.
got to look at Hurts and everyone else.
I was watching those games a little bit last night late. And A.J. Brown was involved a lot more, it seemed. And he seems like he's totally fine. And you talk about Goddard, you talk about A.J. Brown. They have the weapons. I mean, it's not as if they don't have it. But the one thing that really struggled, but it kicked in the second to last playoff game, was their passing game finally started to get on track. If there's one area, if they get behind, which I don't think they will, if the Eagles get behind, the passing game will be suspect, Rock. That's the only thing I can think of, is that they haven't been quite on par like they were last year.
What's going to make a difference is just named who their honorary captain's going to be. And there's no other man that makes more sense than this honorary captain.
Your buddy Ron Jaworski?
No. Heck with Ron.
I'm going to say Harold Carmichael.
Nope.
Can I take a guess?
You know who it is.
I mean, I didn't look, but I'm just guessing. Brian Dawkins.
No, but he did do a highlight film. Nick Foles, Philly.
Oh,
Nick Foles.
Your last
the
Super
Bowl
special.
The last 2 weeks, I have worn my Nick Foles Super Bowl jersey along with my Super Bowl ring. That's also Nick Foles, Arizona guy.
Yeah, not that you're superstitious or anything, Rock.
No,
whatsoever.
You're so spoiled, Rock. You watch your
4
team win
minutes.
the national championship on Monday, and you're gonna watch the Eagles on Sunday.
Yeah, it's big
potentially win a
trading.
Super
Phillies
Bowl.
coming,
You could
yeah.
win a Super Bowl and a Natty within 2 weeks.
Go to Vegas, Rock, if that happens.
No,
Go to Vegas.
I didn't go to
Luck is
Ohio
good.
State, but I am from Philly, born in Philly, so I think I can accept them as a team. I know I get a little bit of grief. I went to Arena Sports Grill and I popped in there the other day, and I didn't show up there to watch the game on Monday because I was sick,
right?
And watched it from home. They had bought me all this paraphernalia, like license plate holders and cushions and blankets and all this
Nice.
take care.
Nice.
Yeah, I felt bad. That
I
I
am
didn't show for it.
I'm hoping that the Bills can win, get back to Super Bowl and win, just for the fans of Buffalo to get there and finally win. And you look
3
at the
minutes.
window of the Bills with Josh Allen. I'm sure they'll be in contention next year, but it just seems like everything has really added up for this team. Now they're banged up in the secondary too. Not only losing a couple guys last year to free agency, but they're banged up right now. I know it's going to be extremely difficult, but for the Bills fans and the Bills Mafia, such a great fandom, great group of folks, very deserving that hopefully they can get there. I prefer it this year and as opposed to next several years, but Josh Allen is just feeling it. James Cook is feeling it, this offensive line.
2.5.
It's just going to be their defense. It's going to be very difficult to slow down this Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid's offenses. But somebody please cover Travis Kelce. Please. 7 catches, wide open on 4 of them.
And please, just one look into the suite. Just one. Caitlin Clark.
Well, you're going to
Come
get at
on,
least
Lord.
one.
You're going to get
Yeah, at least
what
one.
is the over-under? I'm sure I'm going to say 3, 4. I'll take the over.
Every time Kelce scores,
Because if he scores
2 minutes
or makes a big play, they're going to him. Or
That's
going
at
to
least
her. excuse
2. Yeah.
It was funny they did for ESPN. It was like a quick flash, like not even a second. You saw Caitlin Clark and Taylor Swift then go back to Travis scoring a touchdown. No, it's gotten ridiculous.
It really has. But the Chiefs have a lot more fans now than they ever had.
Oh,
that
man.
were never really football fans.
Do they ever?
But
Yes,
they are
they-
now because Swiftie, or the Swifties,
Sure,
I should say.
sure.
Remember
But,
when they were supposed to break up?
Minute and a half.
Remember when that whole leak thing came out of a certain date on a contract? I'm surprised they're still together.
You actually
Yeah, I'll give it
believe
to him.
that there, Jax?
Oh, I did. Totally.
Did you?
I didn't, but Rock
I
brought
didn't
it to the
believe it.
show that one day.
Yeah, I think it's going to. I mean, yeah. You really think it's going to stick?
Absolutely.
True love?
Oh, yeah. Hey, with
Not all these celebrities that get married for 4 or 5 years just for the business part of
hey,
it.
they both have their own money. She's a billionaire. He's a millionaire. I mean, what's
1 minute.
what's another $1 billion in his cachet? Of course, they're going to get married sooner or later.
Connor, we didn't get your prediction for Eagles and Commanders. Who you going with?
I'm going to go with the Eagles. As much as it pains me to say it, as a Cowboy fan, it's
Love
really
it.
a hard
best.
beat for both teams. But I do think Philadelphia is better.
That's why I asked, because the Dallas Cowboy fan. Love it. And
Wow.
then who do you like in the Chiefs and Bills?
I think Kansas City's going to get it done. As much as I think Josh Allen is a good quarterback, it's just hard to bet against Big Red.
See, I can't call Big Red. There's
I
only
can't either.
one Big Red, and that's
Yeah.
the University of Nebraska.
I would agree with that.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Hey, we know you have choices. Thanks for hanging out with us this week. If you missed anything, go to rockandmanuch.com. Also, make sure when you're there, check out our big game watch party at Weekapaw. So for Connor, for Jax, for Jimmy B, and Manuch, I'm Rock. We'll see you back here Monday.